Chapter 903. The atmosphere, which had already eased up, became tense again after the Hidden Sword Villa elder's words. Cheng Tingshan could accept Fang Qishao's idea. He was the manor lord, and not only did he have to consider the rules of the Hidden Sword Villa, he also had to consider the villa's future and everything else in the Jianghu. But to the Hidden Sword Villa elder, the Hidden Sword Villa's sword, demonic moon, was his life. To these cultivators who had chosen to enter the Guardian Sword Pavilion in their prime, to serve the famed swords for their entire lives, they were respectable. But because of this, staying in the Guardian Sword Pavilion all year round and using their own qi and blood to nourish their swords had caused their personalities to become extremely extreme, even unreasonable. The light demonic moon was the divine weapon that this elder had nurtured for his entire life. And now, not only was this divine weapon going to be handed over, it was going to be handed over to Chu Xiu. This was something that this elder absolutely could not tolerate. Chu Xiu looked at 7th young Master Fang, spread out his hands, and said, "Brother Fang, you've seen it for yourself. It's not that I don't want to give you face, but that there's someone who insists on being stubborn." Cheng Tingshan looked at the Hidden Sword Villa elder and tried to persuade him, "Elder," but just as Cheng Tingshan finished speaking, he was interrupted by the Hidden Sword Villa elder. "Manor Lord, there's no need to say any more. I will definitely not hand over the flowing light demonic moon. If you want to hand it over, it's simple. Kill me and give the flowing light demonic moon to Chu Xiu in exchange for the Hidden Sword Manor's temporary survival. But, Manor Lord, don't forget that you're also a swordsman. A swordsman would rather break than bend. If you can defeat him, you'll defeat him. If you can't, you'll defeat him. Today, you've lowered your head, compromised, and knelt to protect the Hidden Sword Villa and your life. But have you ever thought about whether you're worthy of the famed swords in the Guardian Sword Pavilion?" Cheng Tingshan looked at the elder, sighed, and shouted, "Open the sword formation." All along, Cheng Tingshan had not given the people of the Jianghu a good impression. He was too calculative and two-faced. Even people from the 5 major sword sects did not like to work with him. In the past, Cheng Tingshan had also been a swordsman in the Jianghu. But as time passed, the young swordsman had become a calculative hypocrite. Over the years, he had schemed and schemed for the sake of the Hidden Sword Villa's little bit of profit. Even for his own power, he had once suppressed dissidents in the Hidden Sword Villa. Even these elders were targets that he used. Over all these years, he had forgotten one thing: a swordsman would rather break than bend. Over all these years, he had forgotten that a swordsman would rather break than bend. Now that the elder had spoken, he couldn't really kill him and give the flowing light evil moon to Chu Xiu. If he did that, he would destroy the hearts of the people of the Hidden Sword Manor. "Martial uncle, as you can see, I've tried my best. This situation is not something my Sword King city can meddle in. I thought the Hidden Sword Villa was just a bunch of mediocre people. I originally thought that the Hidden Sword Villa was just a bunch of mediocre people. I didn't expect such a person to appear. I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse for the Hidden Sword Villa." In all fairness, the 7th young Master Fang admired the elder of the Hidden Sword Villa. At least, he was right about one thing: a swordsman would rather break than bend. But the problem was, he would rather break than bend. He had provoked a great enemy that could destroy the Hidden Sword Villa. In the Jianghu, there were many things that were neither right nor wrong. Chu Xiu had a grudge against Cheng Tingshan. Moreover, he needed the demonic moon. It was normal for him to cause trouble for the Hidden Sword Villa. As the manor lord, Cheng Tingshan had to compromise in order to protect the Hidden Sword Villa's best interests. He had done nothing wrong. As for the elder of the Hidden Sword Villa, he stayed in the Guarding Sword Pavilion for half of his life and strictly adhered to his beliefs. No one was wrong, but when they met, they would set off an unprovoked massacre. Bai Qian shook his head and said, "7th young master, you have done enough. In this matter, my Sword King city has contributed, and we will no longer intervene. Compared with the hidden sword villa, Bai Qian was more gratified to see the growth of Fang Qishao. He was already very satisfied that Fang Qishao could do this. Besides, in this situation, it was useless for them to intervene. Chu Xiu was Fang Qishao's good friend. He couldn't force Fang Qishao to fight with Chu Xiu. Moreover, even if he fought with his life, it was useless. In this battle situation, there was no difference between having 2 more real pellet state martial artists and having 2 less real pellet state martial artists. The old man of the Wuxia sword tomb nodded and said, "Are you finally going to make a move? After fighting the old man, we still have to go back and guard the tomb." Compared with others, the nameless old man of the Wuxia sword tomb thought more simply. If you want to fight, then fight. Why so much nonsense? As soon as he spoke, the nameless old man of the Wuxia sword tomb stepped out. His body was surrounded by sword qi as if he was going straight to the sky. Chu Xiu turned to Shang Tianliang and said, "Master Shang, I'll leave it to you." Shang Tianliang nodded blankly. Although he was defeated miserably in front of Rama before, he benefited a lot from fighting with the existence of the mysterious realm. He gradually became familiar with the current fighting style. Shang Tianliang didn't put a real fire spirit refinement state in his eyes. Shang Tianliang's saber intent permeated the air around him, and the formless gang qi around him turned pale green. With a casual wave of his hand, the wind howled furiously in midair, and the dark clouds that filled the sky turned into a long saber that could tear the heavens and split the earth as it slashed down with indomitable might. This was the martial art technique Shang Tianliang had inherited from his ancestors. Back in the Green Capital, this martial art technique had been simplified into the simplest knife hand technique. There was only the saber intent, but no saber form. The might displayed by this slash was the true power of the heavens and earth. Facing an existence of the mysterious realm, the face of the old man of the Wuxia sword tomb didn't change at all. But at this moment, a strange sword light bloomed around him. The power of the sword light wasn't strong. It just condensed into a small sword that hovered behind the old man. However, as the old man pointed out with his sword finger, countless sword auras condensed and gushed out from the small sword. The sword will pierce through the sky and directly condensed into a huge sword shadow in mid-air, shattering Shang Tianliang's absolute sky/blade. The huge impact from the collision of the sword and the saber caused the ground between the two to crack. A violent aura suddenly erupted. Shang Tianliang's expression didn't change, but the nameless old man opposite him took 3 steps back, but he wasn't injured at all. The next moment, the nameless old man stepped out again. A small sword turned into a complete sword shadow in the sky. In an instant, a trembling sword hum resounded in people's hearts. Even Chu Xiu could feel an extremely sharp feeling tearing his spirit. Chu Xiu had to use the power of his spirit to resist it. Shang Tianliang, who bore the brunt of the attack, let out a furious roar. The green aura around his body swept out like a tornado. His hands pulled and tore forward, as if tearing the heavens and earth apart. No matter what kind of sword chimes there were, he directly tore through the countless sword shadows. Even though Shang Tianliang was now more used to the fighting methods in the Jianghu, his martial arts couldn't change. He still focused on close combat, and his attacks were extremely fierce and violent. Chu Xiu squinted and stared at the nameless old man of the Wuxia sword tomb. The other party was only in the spiritual refinement realm with true fire, but the powerful aura on his body definitely didn't belong to him. Controlling the world with the power of sword qi was definitely a technique that only a powerful sword cultivator in the spiritual refinement realm with true fire could use. How could this old man use it? Lu Jiang, he said in the blood soul bead, if I'm not wrong, this old man should have a sword soul from the Wuxia sword tomb. The Wuxia sword tomb actually invited a sword soul. It seems that they really value you. Sword soul? The soul of a swordsman in the mysterious realm of heaven and earth? Lu Jiang, he shook his head and said, not the soul of a swordsman, but the soul of a sword spirit. There are countless sword cultivators buried in the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb, including people from the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb, some ancient sword cultivators, and even some rogue sword cultivators with deep attainments in the sword. Before they died, they would sometimes enter the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb to bury themselves and their divine swords. The Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb had never rejected these people. Some of the experts had an extremely close relationship with the sword spirits of their divine weapons. After they died, the sword spirits would dissipate on their own. However, the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb is an extremely special place. If the swordsman and the sword spirit dissipate together, the power formed after their dissipation will condense and give birth to an extremely powerful existence, which is the sword soul. The sword soul has some special characteristics of the swordsman when he was alive. At the same time, it is not bound by the sword itself. It is invisible and intangible, but its power is extremely powerful. The master of the sword soul on this old man should be in existence in the mysterious realm of heaven and earth. It is normal for it to have such power. Chu Xiu raised his eyebrows and said, "There are such strange things in the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb?" Lu Jianghu snorted softly and said, "There are many strange things in the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb. Don't look at how few people from the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb appear in the pugilistic world. Even 500 years ago, there were not many people in the sacred sect who were willing to provoke the Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb. They were just a group of grave keepers, not much of a threat. Who knew what kind of strange things had been bred in that big grave of theirs? The Tao of life and death are two types of great Daoists in the world. The Wind and Cloud Sword Tomb is an existence between life and death. However, you can rest assured. No matter how strong the sword soul is, it is just an external object. External objects alone cannot do anything to old Shang." As soon as Lu Jianghu's voice fell, Shen Baochen took out a scroll. When the scroll was unfurled, it was like a painting. There were countless swordsmen dancing in ink. As the ink sword shadows danced in the air, every sword chi pierced through the sky. It was extremely sharp. In an instant, countless sword chi attacked Shang Tianliang. Its power was not inferior to the power of the nameless old man's sword soul. In an instant, Shang Tianliang was under a lot of pressure. Chu Xiu glanced at Lu Jianghu and said indifferently, "Stop talking." Chapter 904. Although Lu Jianghu was a bit of a jinx, a large sect like the Forgetting Sword Hut definitely had some hidden treasures in their hands. Even if Lu Jianghu had not mentioned the painting scroll that Shen Baochen had taken out, Chu Xiu had heard of it. This item was called the 10,000 Sword Catalogue. Starting from the generation of the ancestors of the Forgotten Sword Hut, once someone reached the mysterious realm of the heaven and earth, they would inscribe their own sword intent into it. After all these years, perhaps only the Forgotten Sword Hut itself knew how many people had reached the mysterious realm of the heaven and earth. The 1000 Sword Catalogue had been worshipped by the Forgotten Sword Hut for generations. It was already filled with the power of sword chi. After using it this time, as long as the 1000 Sword Catalogue was not damaged, it could continue to accumulate sword chi for use. Although the 1000 Sword Catalogue could not fight against a true mysterious realm of heaven and earth, it would not be a problem for it to work with the nameless old man from the undistracted sword tomb to stop Shang Tianliang. After all, Shang Tianliang was still injured. Shaking his head gently, Chu Xiu walked directly towards the hidden sword villa. It was not easy to defeat Shang Tianliang with just two external objects. This period of time was enough for Chu Xiu to finish off the hidden sword villa. Seeing Chu Xiu walk over, Cheng Tingshan shouted, "Sword array, split open the sky." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire hidden sword villa immediately erupted with a shocking power of sword chi. The light of the Tao of formation shone brightly. Hundreds of hidden sword villa elites were scattered in all directions of the sword formation. 6 elders of the hidden sword villa guarded the 6 most crucial positions of the sword formation, while Cheng Tingshan commanded from the center. The biggest difference between the Hidden Sword Mountain Villa's sword formation and normal sword formations was that they did not rely on the formation, nor did they rely on the people who set up the formation. Instead, they relied on the long swords that shone brightly in the center of the formation. These swords were god weapons and precious weapons. Now that they were connected together through the array, the power that erupted was extremely shocking. The Hidden Sword Villa had studied sword arrays for thousands of years. Their attainments in this aspect could be said to far exceed the other sword sections. Therefore, when the Hidden Sword Mountain Villa took out the sword formation as a trade, the other three sects were more or less tempted by it. Chu Xiu looked at the sword formation of the Hidden Sword Villa with interest. To be honest, although in Chu Xiu's eyes, the Hidden Sword Villa was still very weak, a force that had been passed down for thousands of years must have some foundation. This sword formation was one of them. At this moment, in Chu Xiu's eyes, within the sword formation, man and sword and formation, they had already formed a subtle whole. The power between them was interconnected, and the sword intent had already soared into the sky, transforming into a heaven-splitting sword that slashed directly at Chu Xiu. The sword array of the Hidden Sword Mountain Villa could be used for both offense and defense. Now that they were facing Chu Xiu, it was either life or death. Since that was the case, why should they care about offense or defense? If they didn't defeat Chu Xiu, no one would be able to live. The Black Tortoise True Technique also had a sword technique called the Destiny Sword Dao. Because Chu Xiu had never used a sword before, Chu Xiu had never used this martial art technique before. However, when the Black Tortoise True Technique was cultivated to the extreme, all 10 martial arts techniques would be integrated. When they were combined into one, it would be able to explode with even greater power. Therefore, even if Chu Xiu had never used a sword technique before, there was no harm in understanding it now. In an instant, the heavenly war case transformed into a long sword. When the sword fell, there was no majestic sword chi, but there was a different kind of charm in it. The Destiny Sword Dao cultivated not only the sword intent, but also the fate of the heavenly way. When the sword fell, it cut through the power of the rules. The seemingly ordinary sword collided with the majestic sword chi of the Hidden Sword Mountain Villa, but an extremely terrifying power erupted. Under Chu Xiu's heavenly mandate sword principle, the huge sword chi actually started to crumble and melt. This caused Cheng Tingshan and the others from the Hidden Sword Villa to be extremely astonished. They knew that Chu Xiu was strong, but no one had heard that Chu Xiu was also good at sword techniques. Using the Sword Dao against the Sword Dao, they were crushed by Chu Xiu in what they were best at. It was not a good feeling. As the sword chi crumbled and melted, Chu Xiu frowned slightly. He looked relaxed, but his entire body was already burning with the true fire of inner strength to resist the crazily surging sword chi. After all, the Sword Dao was not the martial art he was best at. Moreover, the Hidden Sword Mountain Villa's real trump card, the famous sword formation in the pugilistic world, did not have an undeserved reputation. The powerful sword chi in the sword formation did not contain any foreign power. There was only sword chi, and it was extremely pure and powerful sword chi. Under the attack of the sword chi, even the long sword formed by the heavenly war case was a little unstable, and it made a slight vibration sound. On the other side, Cheng Tingshan gritted his teeth and shouted, "Sword dance!" As soon as he said that, countless sword chis soared through the sky, spreading out in the sky as if they blotted out the sun. They attacked Chu Xiu with whistling gales. Chu Xiu wanted to hone his destiny sword principle, so he wasn't in a hurry. He continued to use the destiny sword principle, a martial technique that he wasn't too familiar with, against the enemy. Although he couldn't destroy the sword formation, he didn't get hurt by it either. After exchanging dozens of blows, Shang Tianliang on the other side snorted coldly and said, "Chu Xiu brat, stop playing. If you don't get serious, this old man won't play with you anymore." The nameless old man's sword soul and Shen Baochun's myriad sword catalog had put a lot of pressure on him. He had not recovered from his injuries, but Chu Xiu was leisurely practicing his martial art skills. It was ridiculous. Seeing that Shang Tianliang had begun to protest, Chu Xiu put aside his thoughts of practicing his martial art skills. With a move of his hand, the heavenly war case instantly turned the long sword into a battle saber. The sea-breaking saber of the seven limits slashed out. The fierce and violent saber aura seemed to tear everything apart. Even the air in front of him made a series of ear-piercing explosions. Wherever the saber aura passed, everything was drowned and covered. The saber could be said to be the ultimate power. The power of the saber was the full power of Chu Xiu's attack. The hidden sword Villa, which had just adapted to Chu Xiu's attack, was caught off guard. In an instant, they were almost unable to maintain the sword formation. An elder of the hidden sword Villa immediately exploded and instantly turned into a cloud of blood mist. The hidden sword Villa's sword formation was mysterious in that the person and the sword had reached a subtle balance. When the sword formation was formed, the person borrowed the power of the sword. When the sword formation was formed, the person could also replace the sword formation to bear the power. However, in this way, the sword might be unharmed, but the person would be injured. The elder of the hidden sword Villa had taken the initiative to bear such a large amount of power. Although it reduced the injuries of others, he had also paid the price of his life. Cheng Tingshan roared with red eyes, "Sword shield!" The sword formation changed. In an instant, countless layers of sword chi stacked up and turned into a shield in front of Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu shook his head and said, "Your courage is commendable, but it's still a useless sacrifice." A shocking pure devil chi condensed in Chu Xiu's hand and turned into a huge devil chi bow in front of him. The Triple City Annihilation arrow shot out. The arrow that carried the power of nirvanic extermination was like a small black dot on the huge sword shield. The blackness seemed to be contagious, growing larger and larger. The sword shield began to gradually collapse and melt. The power of nirvanic extermination had even seeped into the sword formation. Another elder of the hidden sword Villa took the initiative to stand out and bear the majority of the power. In the end, he was directly minced into ashes by the power of nirvanic extermination. After a few consecutive attacks, the hidden sword Villa was already on the verge of collapse. None of the 6 guardian sword pavilion elders were afraid of death. They all rushed to stand out and block Chu Xiu's attack. Unfortunately, in the blink of an eye, 5 of them had already died. To be honest, even Chu Xiu was a little surprised that the fight had reached this level. Now that he had attacked with all his strength, the number of people in the true fire spirit refinement state who could block him could be counted on one hand. In Chu Xiu's eyes, the people from the hidden sword Villa were like ants. He could easily crush them. However, with the sword formation and their courage, they could actually hold on for so long. This really made Chu Xiu look at them in a new light. However, Chu Xiu was not the kind of person who would let his enemies live just because he admired them. An enemy was an enemy. I admire you, but I still have to kill you. When the last elder of the hidden sword Villa could not withstand Chu Xiu's attack and his body exploded, Cheng Tingshan's spirit had completely collapsed. Although the sword in the hidden sword Villa's sword formation was more important than the people, if the people were all dead, who could control the sword formation? Cheng Tingshan's eyes were red as he roared, "Sword sacrifice!" The other cultivators who controlled the sword formation looked at Cheng Tingshan in disbelief. This move was almost a suicidal method. It extracted all the power of the divine weapons, and even the sword spirit would be crushed. This was the way to erupt with the greatest power. Once this move was used, the swords would be destroyed and the people would die. The hidden sword Villa is going to be gone. What's the use of the swords? Don't you, Chu Xiu, want the flowing light demonic moon? My hidden sword Villa would rather destroy these divine swords than leave them to you, Chu Xiu. Although Cheng Tingshan was usually very calculative, at this moment, the crazy killing intent in his heart had already been aroused. He would rather die in glory than live in dishonor. Chu Xiu frowned. The unyielding spirit of Cheng Tingshan and the hidden sword villa was really beyond his imagination. At this moment, Bai Qian suddenly said, "Wait." Chu Xiu looked at Bai Qian and raised his eyebrows. "What, Sword King City also wants to intervene in this matter?" As he said that, Chu Xiu also glanced at Fang Qishao. Fang Qishao also shrugged, meaning that he also didn't know what Bai Qian wanted to do. Bai Qian shook his head and said, "Only a few people from my Sword King City came here. Even if we want to intervene, we can't do anything. I just want to give official Chu a suggestion. What you want is the flowing light demonic moon. There's no need to force the entire hidden sword villa to be destroyed. Although the relationship between the 5 major sword sects isn't close, it won't be good if 2 of them are destroyed at the same time. Official Chu, where it's possible to forgive people, one should forgive people. I'll help you get the flowing light demonic moon, and you leave the hidden sword villa's orthodoxy. What do you think?" Chapter 905. The Sword King City had come here as a bystander. Although the 7th young master Fang had performed well, it was a pity that some people didn't buy it. Now that Bai Qian had spoken up as a peacemaker, not only did he not want Sword King City to play a supporting role, but he also did not want Hidden Sword Villa to be destroyed. Each of the 5 major sword sects had thousands of years of history. Therefore, although there was competition and intrigue between them, it was not as serious as the other factions. For example, the great battle on Floating Jade Mountain had been instigated by the 5 major sword sections. If it had been any other faction, it would have been impossible for them to join forces and create such a huge commotion. Hidden Sword Villa was already half destroyed, but even so, it was better to leave a good reputation than to be destroyed. Chu Xiu said calmly, "I gave Hidden Sword Villa a chance from the beginning, but some people did not cherish it. They won't shed a tear until they see their coffin." Bai Qian sighed and said to Cheng Tingshan, "Villa Master Cheng, although a swordsman would rather break than bend, a broken sword can be reforged. If the person is gone, then there's nothing left. Hidden Sword Villa has developed for so many years. Are you really willing to watch it be destroyed in your hands? Are you willing to be the last Villa Master of Hidden Sword Villa? Admit defeat. Even if you really die, you will not be a threat to official Chu. Leave a seed for Hidden Sword Villa." Cheng Tingshan smiled sadly and glanced at the other Hidden Sword Villa disciples in the sword formation, whose eyes were either filled with fear or apprehension. Perhaps their Hidden Sword Villa had walked into a dead end from the beginning. Was the person or the sword more important? The Hidden Sword Villa had chosen the latter. In the end, so many people had died for the sake of a sword. If they had admitted defeat from the beginning, would they have ended up like this? Chu Xiu was right. This time, Hidden Sword Villa would not shed a tear until they saw their coffin. It was too late for regrets. Bai Qian's last sentence hit the spot that Cheng Tingshan was most unwilling to face. The Hidden Sword Villa had been passed down for thousands of years. He did not want to be the last master of the Hidden Sword Villa. How would he be able to face his ancestors then? Moreover, Chu Xiu's strength was already so strong that it made people tremble. Even if they were to perish together, apart from preventing Chu Xiu from obtaining flowing light evil moon, what else could he gain? Bai Qian continued, "Manor Lord Cheng, the 5 great sword sects have existed for so many years. You should know what the 5 great sword sects need. Although we usually have conflicts with each other and everyone wants to be the leader of the 5 major sword sects, as sword cultivators, we wish for the entire sword cultivator lineage to prosper. Compared to letting other random sects become one of the 5 great sword sects, we are more willing to let the Hidden Sword Villa remain in this position. Cheng Tingshan, let go. Although your Hidden Sword Villa has suffered a great loss this time, Sword King City can guarantee that if anyone dares to target the Hidden Sword Villa, Sword King City will take action. In the entire Jianghu, the 5 great sword sects had the most special status. There was no conflict between them over orthodoxies, only their dedication to the sword Dao. The sword Dao had even become independent of the 3 sects, becoming the largest martial Dao branch in the Jianghu. Of course, this was not the ultimate dream of all sword cultivators. Their ultimate dream was to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Daoists, Buddhists, and demons. That was their ideal golden age of the sword Dao. So although the 5 great sword sects had always had conflicts, they all worked together to protect the interests and future of the sword Dao. There were many sword sects among the 7 sects and 8 schools, but why had they not replaced the weakest Umaiden Palace as one of the 5 great sword sects? Why had they not become one of the 6 great sword sects? That was because their sword Dao was not pure. No matter how weak the Umaiden Palace and the Hidden Sword Villa were, their sword Dao legacies had been recognized by other sword sections. The remaining sects like the Ba Mountain Sword Sect and the Azure Water Sword Sect might also have the title of Sword Sect or Sword Sect, but in reality, their sword Dao legacies were not recognized by other sword sections. So even though the Hidden Sword Villa had declined to this state, before another sword sect appeared that could replace the Hidden Sword Villa, Sword King City would protect the Hidden Sword Villa. This was not just empty talk. Cheng Tingshan sighed. In that instant, he seemed to have aged a dozen years. With a wave of his hand, a long sword flashing with starlight flew out of the sword formation and stabbed in front of Chu Xiu. Flowing light evil moon is yours, Chu Xiu. After barely spitting out these words, Cheng Tingshan seemed to have spat out all his strength. A swordsman would rather break than bend. This time, he, Cheng Tingshan, had lowered his head. He had completely embarrassed the Hidden Sword Villa. Although he, like the other 6 elders of the Hidden Sword Villa, was prepared to die, sometimes, living was more difficult than dying. Now that the flowing light evil moon was in his hands, Chu Xiu called out to Shang Tianliang and turned to leave. He, Chu Xiu, was very trustworthy. At present, Chu Xiu could be considered as a big shot who could stir up a storm in the underworld. It was time for him to build up his reputation. Although he didn't need to do any good deeds, at the very least, it would make his credibility more valuable. Of course, more importantly, he had been high-profile enough during this period of time. If he destroyed the Hidden Sword Villa now, he would be even more high-profile and would almost completely offend the other 3 major sections. After Chu Xiu left, the elder of the Heartless Sword Tomb saw that the matter had been resolved. He did not even say a word and turned to leave. Shen Baochen looked at the pitiful state of the Hidden Sword Villa and shook his head. Back then, during the great battle between the righteous and demonic paths on Floating Jade Mountain, the Hidden Sword Villa was still high-spirited, but now it had weakened to such an extent. This time, the Hidden Sword Villa had suffered heavy losses. Not only had they lost the flowing light evil moon, but all the elders in the Guardian Sword Pavilion had died. The Hidden Sword Villa had to send a large number of people into the Guardian Sword Pavilion, which was a great blow to their own strength. In the next 10 years, the Hidden Sword Villa would probably not appear in the Jianghu. This made Shen Baochen sigh. This was the result of not having enough strength. In the Jianghu, not having strength was the biggest mistake. After obtaining the flowing light evil moon, Chu Xiu did not delay and directly brought the flowing light evil moon to the Mirror Lake Villa. Along the way, news of the battle in the Hidden Sword Villa had spread. Previously, it was not wrong for Chu Xiu to be low-key. This was because after this incident, Chu Xiu had become the focus of the Jianghu again. Countless people were saying that Chu Xiu was arrogant and domineering, and that he was extremely crazy. He had just gone against the Sabodi Zen Temple and the Chunyang Dao sect, and in the blink of an eye, he had gone against the 5 major sword sects. This was simply indescribable. However, there were also many sects that were worried. This Chu Xiu was so unscrupulous and crazy. Would he be a threat to them in the future? Not only did Chu Xiu not earn any reputation, but he had also gained a stronger fear and ferocity than before. Of course, all of this had nothing to do with Chu Xiu. He had already decided that while Mo Yezi was helping him forge the divine weapon, he would stay in the Mirror Lake Manor. One reason was to wait for the divine weapon, and the other was to keep a low profile for a period of time. When Mo Yezi received the flowing light evil moon from Chu Xiu, even he was shocked. Although he had already heard the news of Chu Xiu from some Anemophilia, he really did not expect that Chu Xiu would actually be able to obtain the divine sword from the Hidden Sword Villa. The rumor that the Hidden Sword Villa regarded the sword as their life had long been famous in the Jianghu. Even in the early years when Mo Yezi was still the pavilion master of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, he wanted to borrow the famous sword of the Hidden Sword Villa to collect some inspiration for forging swords. However, he was firmly rejected by the Hidden Sword Villa. In the end, under the threat of Chu Xiu, the Hidden Sword Villa still handed over the flowing light evil moon. It seemed that a person's life was still more important than a sword. Mo Yezi said, "The flowing light evil moon is originally a divine weapon. It will take some effort to melt it. Therefore, if we want to forge the complete version of the Heavenly Dao War Case, I am afraid it will take some time, at least a month." Chu Xiu nodded and said, "That's just right. I will stay in the Mirror Lake Villa for a period of time." He had been a little too high profile during this time. Although Chu Xiu was now the general trend, he was not ready to really become the public enemy of the martial arts world. Taoism and Buddhism and the 5 major sword sects had been defeated by him one after another. At present, Chu Xiu was in the limelight for a while. If he attracted so many strong people to besiege him like Yi Xiaonan last time, no matter how strong Chu Xiu was, he would probably die. At this moment, someone suddenly came outside to report that Xiao Baiyu of Jixia Academy had come to visit. Xiao Baiyu came to the Mirror Lake Villa to find Mo Yezi to forge weapons. Now that Xiao Baiyu had stepped into the true fire spiritual cultivation realm, his power in the Eastern Qi Imperial Court had greatly increased. Jixia Academy had become the most important part of the Eastern Qi Imperial Court. Therefore, Xiao Baiyu also asked for a lot of materials from the Eastern Qi Imperial Court and was ready to forge a batch of weapons. Although there were a lot of forging masters in the Eastern Qi Imperial Court, Xiao Baiyu didn't like them. The price of the Divine Weapon Pavilion was too high, so the Mirror Lake Villa was a good choice. Moreover, Xiao Baiyu was Luo Feiheng's teacher, and Mo Yezi was Luo Feiheng's adoptive father. With this important relationship, the relationship between the two sides was also good. Seeing Chu Xiu here, Xiao Baiyu was stunned. It seemed that he didn't expect to meet Chu Xiu here. "Chancellor Xiao, long time no see." Chu Xiu cupped his hands and said hello. The other party was Luo Feiheng's teacher. Although he was not familiar with him, there was no hatred between them. Xiao Baiyu also saluted back and said, "I didn't expect official Chu to be here. Are you also going to find Master Mo Yezi to forge weapons?" Chu Xiu nodded and said, "I just got a magic sword from the sword concealing villa. I'm going to use it to upgrade my weapon." Hearing this, Xiao Baiyu couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Using a magic weapon to upgrade another magic weapon, Chu Xiu really dared to do such a luxurious thing. "And are you sure you got the magic sword from the sword concealing villa instead of robbing it?" Chapter 906. For Chu Xiu, Xiao Baiyu didn't have much bad feeling. The reason was very simple. Standpoint determined everything. Chu Xiu and Luo Feiheng were good friends, and he was Luo Feiheng's teacher. Although he had more than one student, Luo Feiheng was the closest to him, Luo Feiheng. In addition, Xiao Baiyu could only be regarded as half a person in Jianghu. His foundation was on the side of the Eastern Qi Imperial Court. Most of the time, he stayed in Jixia Academy to teach disciples. Xiao Baiyu just watched the fights and various disputes in Jianghu and rarely participated in them. Therefore, he didn't have any bad feeling for Chu Xiu. He was more curious about Chu Xiu's martial arts. After telling Yezi that he was going to forge a batch of weapons, Xiao Baiyu and Chu Xiu sat in the living room and chatted. Official Chu, you are a good friend of Fei Hong, and you are not an outsider. I have something to say, but I don't know whether I should say it or not. Xiao Baiyu suddenly said. Chancellor Xiao, please say it. Xiao Baiyu said in a deep voice, I have heard about what happened in Jianghu recently. Official Chu, you forced Sword Concealing Villa to hand over Flowing Light Evil Moon, which made Sword Concealing Villa suffer a big loss. Everyone is saying that you are very famous, but in fact, this is not a good thing. Because some people are saying that your behavior is quite similar to the style of the Kunlun devil cult for 500 years. Chu Xiu knocked on the table with his hand, narrowed his eyes, and said, words of criticism. What did the Kunlun devil cult represent? It represented the threat and the era when the people in the evil circle were unscrupulous. Now that someone had linked him to the Kunlun demon sect, it was obvious that someone was trying to purposely lead to a fallacy, causing the entire pugilistic world to view him, Chu Xiu, as an enemy. In the end, they might even join forces to kill him. Of course, these were just an idea. After all, Chu Xiu had become the general trend. It was impossible to kill Chu Xiu without bleeding. Moreover, Chu Xiu couldn't find out who the person who said those words was because he had too many enemies. Not to mention enemies, even if he didn't have any enmity with them, there were many people who didn't like him. How could he find out? Chu Xiu cupped his hands and said, many thanks for Chancellor Zhao's information. I also know that I have been rather high profile during this period of time, so I have decided to stay in the Mirror Lake Manor during this period of time and wait for Great Master Yezi to finish forging the weapon for me. When Xiao Baiyu heard Chu Xiu's words, he couldn't help but nod. Chu Xiu could come to this position from an insignificant person. Of course, he was not an idiot. He knew when to be radical and when to be low-key. Even if he didn't say these words, Chu Xiu could feel it himself. And when he heard that Chu Xiu was going to stay in Mirror Lake Villa for a period of time, Xiao Baiyu also became interested. He said excitedly, Official Chu, I happen to have nothing to do recently. I wonder if you would like to deduce martial arts with me? In terms of combat effectiveness, although Xiao Baiyu had now reached the real fire spiritual realm, he was probably not as good as Chu Xiu, who had already practiced the real fire body refining realm. However, in terms of understanding and attainments in martial arts, Xiao Baiyu, who had studied countless martial arts classics and had students all over the world, was far better than Chu Xiu. Even few people in the whole Jianghu were qualified to compete with Xiao Baiyu. This was the real Wu Dao Grand Master. He was interested in Chu Xiu because of Chu Xiu's simultaneous cultivation of Taoism, Buddhism and demon. Throughout the history of the Jianghu, there were many people who practiced several martial arts at the same time, but some people had to worry about the conflict of martial arts of different attributes. Even if they overcame the conflict, they still had to worry about the impact between the martial arts. After all, the state of mind of the demon martial arts was definitely different from the state of mind of Buddhism martial arts. Even if you could overcome these things, there was still the complementarity between martial arts and so on. It was possible that you practiced two martial arts at the same time, and as a result, you found that the effect was not as good as specializing in one martial art. Therefore, most of the martial artists in the Jianghu actually only specialized in one martial art. It was not that they couldn't, but there were too many restrictions and it was not cost-effective. At present, the martial artists who had reached the real pellet state in the Jianghu had learned a variety of martial arts, but only Chu Xiu could master everything. Therefore, Xiao Baiyu was really curious about Chu Xiu and wanted to discuss with him how he practiced. For Xiao Baiyu's request, Chu Xiu was also very happy. His own attainments in martial arts were obvious, but Chu Xiu didn't think that others were inferior to him. Especially in martial arts, combat power was combat power, and understanding of martial arts was understanding. Deducing martial arts with Xiao Baiyu, a grand master with high attainments in martial arts, was also very good for Chu Xiu's own understanding of martial arts. Therefore, for almost a month, Chu Xiu spent his time deducing and discussing with Xiao Baiyu. Although Chu Xiu almost didn't practice in this month, he could feel that his understanding of martial arts had improved. As the dean of Jixia Martial Arts Academy, although Xiao Baiyu was not as proficient in the martial arts of Taoism, Buddhism and Demon as Chu Xiu, he had a deep understanding of the martial arts of these three branches. In Xiao Baiyu's view, among the martial artists of Taoism, Buddhism and Demon, Taoism emphasized the nature of heaven and earth and was the most moderate and peaceful. Buddhism cultivated the power of Yang and Buddha's light, which was the sum of the extreme Yang between heaven and earth. The demonic cultivation method was extremely evil, which was the collection of all the negative forces in the world. These three kinds of cultivation methods themselves evolved from the power between heaven and earth. There was no good or evil, but there were differences in their attributes. In Xiao Baiyu's view, Chu Xiu was able to practice all these three kinds of cultivation methods to great success or even the extreme. This had a great relationship with Chu Xiu's state of mind. In the eyes of others, Chu Xiu was a devil and his behavior was extremely evil. But in Xiao Baiyu's view, Chu Xiu was not a good person, but you couldn't say that he was absolutely a bad person. In his heart, there was only himself, and there was no good or evil. In his heart, he didn't believe in Buddha. In his hand, the devil was the blade. Taoism followed the law of nature, and so did people. For a long time, Chu Xiu regarded all kinds of martial arts cultivation methods as a tool to increase his own strength. Only he controlled the cultivation method, of course, he would not be affected by the cultivation method. A month later, Master Mo Yezi also completely promoted the natural law war case to the peak state in the blueprint, and Chu Xiu was ready to leave Eastern Qi. But at this time, Luo Feiheng came to him. Seeing Luo Feiheng's anxious look, Chu Xiu couldn't help but ask, "What happened to the 9-branch hall?" Xiao Baiyu also asked, "Did someone come to trouble you again?" Last time in the Sun family, Sun Changming of the Sun family made trouble for Luo Feiheng, but was stopped by Xiao Baiyu. Since then, many people in Jianghu also knew the relationship between Luo Feiheng and Xiao Baiyu. They were not an ordinary disciple and teacher, but similar to the relationship between a master and a disciple. A teacher for a day is a father for a lifetime. Master and teacher meant completely different things. Xiao Baiyu had students all over the world, but there were only a few who could really be regarded as his disciples. Luo Feiheng shook his head and said, "It's not my problem, but Mo Tianlin is in trouble. Usually, he seems to be gentle, but I didn't expect him to be so stubborn. When the Mo family was in trouble, he didn't ask for help immediately, but even wanted to shoulder the responsibility himself." When Luo Feiheng mentioned Mo Tianlin, Chu Xiu remembered that he hadn't seen Mo Tianlin for a long time. This was also related to Chu Xiu's realm rising too fast. Those who dealt with him were all above the martial Dao Grand Master. There were even powerhouses of the heaven and earth mystic realm. Mo Tianlin hadn't reached the real pellet state yet. In theory, he was still a younger generation, so it was naturally impossible to have too much interaction with Chu Xiu. Of course, this didn't mean that Mo Tianlin was weak. It could only be said that the strength of Chu Xiu's generation was too abnormal. Mo Tianlin was only in his early 30s this year, and his strength had already reached the peak of the unity of nature and man. Those who stepped into the real pellet state before the age of 40 were considered to be extremely talented. Mo Tianlin? Did something happen to the Xiangyang Mo family? Even if my face isn't useful, didn't you go to the Blue Dragon Society to ask for help? At present, Chu Xiu's forces could be said to be all over the underworld. He and Mo Tianlin were good friends. Many people knew that if someone wanted to touch Mo Tianlin, they had to give Chu Xiu face. Of course, Chu Xiu wasn't arrogant to the point that everyone in the underworld had to give him face, but Luo Feiheng's 9-branch hall itself wasn't weak. Even if the 9-branch hall was useless, then Luo Feiheng could go to the Blue Dragon Society to find support. Luo Feiheng's face was a little ugly. It was the Xiahou clan who did it. I don't know why the Xiahou clan is crazy. It seems like they want to completely destroy the Mo family, but I asked Mo Tianlin. The Mo family has been very low-key recently. They didn't provoke the Xiahou clan at all. I didn't even see Xiahou Zhen's face when I showed up. Later, I asked Senior Duanmu Qianshan to help, but the Xiahou clan's old ancestor personally refused. His attitude was abnormally tough. I really have no other way, so I can only come to you to solve it. Hearing Luo Feiheng's words, Chu Xiu frowned suddenly. After a pause, Chu Xiu said, "Something is wrong. Mo Tianlin's Mo family is the weakest among the 9 great families. It basically has no threat. If there is no absolute reason, why would the Xiahou clan want to destroy the Mo family? Is it simply crazy? Most importantly, the Xiahou clan's attitude is too unyielding. It's unyielding to the point of being unbelievable. They didn't give face to Luo Feiheng, nor did they give face to the Blue Dragon Society. The Xiahou clan should know that the Blue Dragon Society has made an appearance. What does this mean? Is the Xiahou clan really not afraid of me? Or is it because they have something to rely on? There must be some hidden story behind this. Since the situation has reached this point, Chu Xiu didn't delay. He brought Luo Feiheng and Chu Xiu directly to the Mo family. No matter what, he and Mo Tianlin were good friends, so he couldn't just ignore this matter. Moreover, he also wants to see why the Xiahou clan wouldn't give him face. Chapter 907. Within the Xiahou clan, Xiahou Zhen was instructing some clansmen and disciples to get ready for the attack on the Mo clan and destroy them in one go. After giving these instructions, Xiahou Zhen returned to the inner hall and happened to run into the Xiahou clan's ancestor, Xiahou Su. Xiahou Su had been in seclusion for more than a decade. Although he was showing signs of aging, it didn't affect his combat strength. The spirit control art of the Xiahou clan had its advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage was that the Xiahou clan's cultivators were generally weaker than their peers because they cultivated the art. The weakening of qi and blood also caused the warriors of the Xiahou clan to age faster than warriors of the same level. However, there were benefits to this as well. Their weakened bodies did not affect the Xiahou clan warriors' battle prowess. The body would weaken, but the soul would only dissipate before death. Therefore, even if the Xiahou clan's cultivators aged a little, it wouldn't affect their combat strength. "Have you arranged everything?" Xiahou Su asked in a low voice. Xiahou Zhen nodded. "Rest assured, ancestor. Everything has been arranged." Xiahou Zhen paused for a moment before continuing, "But forefather, why do I feel uneasy? House Mo is one of the 9 great houses, just like us. If we act rashly, will Shangshui River's clan intervene? Mo Tianlin is Chu Xiu's good friend. Even the Blue Dragon Society made a move when we probed them. I'm afraid that Chu Xiu will show up in the end." The Xiahou clan was managed by the Elders' Council and Xiahou Zhen together. The Elders' Council's existence was very important to Xiahou Zhen. Now that Xiahou Su had come out of seclusion and handed everything to Xiahou Zhen, he couldn't bring himself to be happy. No matter how he looked at it, Xiahou Zhen felt that something was wrong. Xiahou Su said in a low voice, "So what if it's the Shangshui clan? So what if it's Chu Xiu? The one behind our Xiahou clan isn't even comparable to the Shangshui clan, let alone Chu Xiu. Most importantly, it's not like you don't know how my Xiahou family rose to prominence. Do you dare to refuse the karma that we owed in the early years? Right now, that lord is in the Xiahou clan. Be careful with your words. The people of the Elysium are temperamental. If we anger him, our Xiahou clan won't have a good ending." Since you're ready, let's go ask that lord when we'll make our move. Xiahou Zhen nodded and followed Xiahou Su to a large residence in the Xiahou clan's backyard. Pushing the door open, a dignified voice sounded, "Is everything ready?" As the forefather of the Xiahou clan, Xiahou Su bowed reflexively at the waist. "The preparations are complete," he replied with utmost deference. "Once Lord Lin gives the order, the Xiahou clan will act." In the middle of the hall, a middle-aged man wearing a black robe with golden dragon patterns sat in the center. Although he was just sitting there quietly, he gave off an incomparably majestic and domineering feeling. The golden patterned dragon robe he wore was not embroidered with the 5-clawed golden dragons used by the royal family. Instead, it was embroidered with extremely ferocious dragons. Their sharp claws and teeth were stained with blood, looking extremely lifelike. This person was one of the 9 great divine generals of the Elysium, Lin Songlong. Although the Xiahou clan was one of the 9 great families, only a few of the higher-ups of the clan knew that the rise of the Xiahou clan had a lot to do with the Elysium. Before the Xiahou clan became one of the 9 great families, they had once participated in a battle for a secret realm. With the Xiahou clan's strength back then, they were basically just there to watch the show. However, one of the divine generals of the Elysium had also participated in the battle for the secret realm, and someone from the Xiahou clan had even led the way for him. During the battle, the divine general of the Elysium obtained a secret technique, but he didn't think much of it, so he tossed it to the forefather of the Xiahou clan. This secret technique was the spirit control technique that the Xiahou clan was now famous for. This matter could be said to be the Xiahou clan's secret. After all, they had relied on the reward of leading the way for them to build their current foundation. It was not a good thing to say. But although it was not a good thing, it was the truth. Now that the divine general of the Elysium had come to ask the Xiahou clan to cooperate with him, would the Xiahou clan dare to refuse? No matter what it was, they could only agree. At this moment, Xiahou Zhen said carefully, "Sir Lin, I have a small suggestion. If you want something from the Shangyang Imo clan, given the Xiahou clan's strength, as long as you give us some time, we will definitely be able to get it for you, be it through coercion or bribery. But now that you insist on destroying the Mo clan in one fell swoop, and then forcefully taking the item, it will cause too much of a commotion. I'm afraid that others will intervene. For example, the Xianxia clan, the leader of the 9 great families, and Chu Xiu, who is good friends with Mo Tianlin, a disciple of the Mo clan. If they intervene, I'm afraid things will become even worse in the end." Actually, what Xiahou Zhen really feared was that the Xiahou clan would be in trouble once Lin Songlong left. Destroying the Shangyang Mo clan was one thing, but what if the Xianxia clan came to ask about it in the future? Moreover, if Chu Xiu came for revenge in the future, and Lin Songlong returned to the Elysium with the item, wouldn't the Xiahou clan have to bear the consequences themselves? Lin Songlong narrowed his eyes at Xiahou Zhen, an extreme pressure already enveloping him. Lin Songlong's face was very ordinary, so ordinary that no one could remember him at a glance. Although his appearance was ordinary, the domineering aura he exuded was enough to make one's heart tremble. Although he didn't say a word, Xiahou Zhen's heart beat wildly, as if it was about to explode. In just a few breaths of time, he was already covered in sweat. Xiahou Su hurriedly said, "Sir Lin, please calm down. Xiahou Zhen doesn't know the situation, and the Xiahou clan will take action immediately. We will not waste a single moment of your time." Lin Songlong retracted his aura, but his expression remained unreadable. Staring at Xiahou Zhen, Lin Songlong said lightly, "Remember, this is not a request, but an order. My time can't be delayed for even a quarter of an hour. What you have to do is not to question, but to obey. Everything that your Xiahou clan has is given to you by the Elysium. Now that you are disobedient, it is reasonable for the Elysium to take away your things, isn't it?" Xiahou Zhen clenched his fists, still somewhat unconvinced. In the past, the Elysium only gave them the Imperial Spirit technique. Although the rise of the Xiahou clan relied on this imperial spirit technique, could it erase the hard work of generations of the Xiahou clan? If the imperial spirit technique was given to a group of trash, they wouldn't be able to become the Xiahou clan. Xiahou Su was afraid that Xiahou would say something that would anger the other party again, so he quickly pulled Xiahou away. Xiahou was only at the real pellet state. Although he had developed the Xiahou clan quite well as the family master over the years, the things he could come into contact with were only at his level. Xiahou didn't know the horror of the Elysium, but Xiahou Su knew. The entire Xiahou clan didn't have the qualification to negotiate in front of the Elysium, they could only obey. At this time, in the Xiangyang Mo family of Eastern Qi, the entire Mo family was gloomy. The Xiangyang Mo family was almost the weakest existence among the entire 9 great families. The only real pellet state martial artist in the Mo family was Mo Qingming. The reason why the Mo family could survive until now was that they never provoked anyone and never made enemies with anyone. As a result, the Mo family didn't expect that even though they had done this, they still caused a fatal disaster. The Mo family had been tentatively attacked by the people of the Xiahou clan before. After that, Luo Feiheng came to help, and the people of the Blue Dragon Society also came to help, but they were all blocked by the Xiahou clan. Now that the news had come, the people of the Xiahou clan were ready to attack on a large scale. They didn't even try to probe. It was as if they wanted to destroy the Mo family in one go. In an instant, the entire Mo family was like the end of the world. In the lobby of the Mo family, all the direct descendants and collateral descendants of the Mo family, old and young, gathered here, but everyone's face showed a look of panic. Some people said that they wanted to escape quickly, and some people wanted to ask for help from the Shangshuaying clan. Mo Qingming sat on the main seat and coughed out a trace of blood. This was the injury he suffered when the Xiahou clan probed and attacked last time. It wasn't even Xiahou who attacked that time, but an elder of the Xiahou clan, but he didn't stop it. If it weren't for the timely arrival of the Blue Dragon Society, even the Mo family wouldn't have survived. With a sigh, Mo Qingming said, "Escape? The main force of the Xiahou clan is coming, but some of their disciples haven't left at all. They are scattered around our Mo family. Can we escape? As for asking for help from the Shangshuaying clan, not to mention that time is not urgent, do you think the Shangshuaying clan will care about these things? Last time when the Lu family and the Sun family fought, the Shangshuaying clan only took a look at the end. Did they intervene? It's useless, it's useless." Hearing Mo Qingming's words, everyone present fell into despair. At this time, Mo Qingming turned his head to the previously silent Mo Tianlin and said, "Tianlin, I know you are good friends with Chu Xiu. Can you ask for help from Chu Xiu? With Chu Xiu's power, he can definitely stop the Xiahou clan." Mo Tianlin sighed and shook his head. "Ancestor, Luo Feiheng and the Blue Dragon Society have already acted. They are all under Brother Chu's command. If you ask me to trouble Brother Chu again, I won't be able to open my mouth. Brother Chu once told me that in this Jianghu, being weak is a sin in itself. At that time, I felt that Brother Chu's actions were extreme and I didn't agree with him. But now, I finally understand that Brother Chu was right. The Xiangyang Mo family has always been kind and has never offended anyone. Yet, we have fallen into this situation. Who can we blame? Who can we blame? We can only blame ourselves for being too weak. Ancestor, don't put your hopes on others. This time, the Mo family will not ask for help. Whether we live or die, we will bear it ourselves." Someone from the Mo family immediately shouted, "Bear it ourselves? With what? Who will bear it?" Mo Tianlin stood up and walked out of the door. Specks of sword qi appeared on his body. "I will bear it." Chapter 908. Outside the Mo family's manor, hundreds of Xiahou clan's disciples had already surrounded the place. However, they were only there to guard the Xiahou clan's vanguard and prevent the Mo family's people from escaping. The real elites of the Xiahou clan were still behind. Half a day later, thousands of Xiahou clan's disciples had already arrived at the Mo family's manor. However, Xiahou Su and Lin Songlong didn't show up. The Xiahou clan's strength alone was enough to deal with the Mo family. Seeing that the Mo family's manor was right in front of them, Xiahou let out a long sigh and said in a low voice, "Break the formation and annihilate the Mo family." This time, the Xiahou clan was ordered to annihilate the Mo family. If they killed everyone, Lin Songlong would naturally get what he wanted. Therefore, it was easy to kill them directly. There was no need for so much nonsense. As one of the 9 great families, the Mo family also had a protective formation. However, it wasn't a powerful formation, so it was easily broken by the Xiahou clan's elders. At this moment, the Mo family's gate opened on its own. The first to walk out was not Mo Qingming, but Mo Tianlin. Behind him was a group of Mo family disciples who were panicking. Xiahou frowned slightly and sneered, "What's wrong? Your ancestor, Mo Qingming, is about to die. You're the only junior in the entire Mo family to stand up." Compared to the panic of the other Mo family disciples, Mo Tianlin appeared extremely calm. There was no fear, no anger, and no hatred. In the face of life and death, who cares about seniors and juniors? If the ancestor is injured, I will stand up. If I die, the rest of the Mo family will also stand up until no one else stands up. Xiahou felt a sudden pain in his heart when he saw Mo Tianlin's current appearance. He thought of Xiahou Wujiang. Xiahou Wujiang and Mo Tianlin were of the same generation. In the past, Xiahou Wujiang's talent was much better than Mo Tianlin's. He had once used his background to make Mo Tianlin suffer. In the end, Mo Tianlin had grown up to the point where he could remain calm in the face of a life-or-death crisis, while his son could no longer live. Now, Xiahou already knew that his son had died in the hands of Chu Xiu, but he couldn't do anything about it. Facing the current Chu Xiu, he didn't even dare to secretly cause trouble for him, let alone take revenge. Although Xiahou Wujiang wasn't his only son, the one he had cultivated the most was Xiahou Wujiang. Humans weren't plants or trees. How could Xiahou completely forget the son who had accompanied him for the longest time when he died? Shaking his head, Xiahou knew that now wasn't the time to think about this. He coldly snorted and said, "Fine, since you're courting death, I'll give you a chance. I'll let you be the hero of the Mo clan before you die." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiahou waved his hand, and a deacon of the Xiahou clan immediately stepped forward. His whole body was shining with hot and strong gang energy, and he held a long saber and slashed at Mo Tianlin. This deacon wasn't a member of the Xiahou clan, but one of his trusted followers. He had the strength of the peak of the unity of heaven and man realm, and he had been in this realm for many years. His foundation was deep, and it wouldn't be a problem for him to deal with a young martial artist like Mo Tianlin. Mo Tianlin slowly closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his eyes were no longer focused, and his pupils couldn't be seen. His eyes had become silvery white, and they were filled with sword qi. The sharp sword qi erupted from Mo Tianlin's eyes, and the deacon of the Xiahou clan subconsciously closed his eyes. Before he could open his eyes, he suddenly felt a pain in his chest. He didn't know when, but a sword qi had pierced through his chest. Blood dripped down, and his body crashed to the ground. The crowd immediately fell silent, including the members of the Mo clan, who had expressions of terror on their faces. Previously, when Mo Tianlin said that he would take care of the Mo family, others thought he was talking nonsense. Who would have thought that Mo Tianlin actually showed such amazing power now? A martial artist of the unity of heaven and man realm was actually killed in one move by him. When did Mo Tianlin have such strength? Mo Cheng, who was at the back of the crowd, wondered, where did Tianlin learn this sword technique from? The martial arts of the Mo family were actually very ordinary. Although they weren't weak, their own cultivation techniques and sword techniques were extremely mediocre. The martial arts that Mo Tianlin was using now were definitely not from their Mo family. The others around also shook their heads. If Mo Cheng didn't know about martial arts, they naturally didn't know about it. Xiahozhen took a deep breath, and his eyes shrank fiercely. But before he could speak, a real pellet state elder of the Xiahou clan had already said angrily, "Junior is too arrogant." The spirit commanding technique of the Xiahou clan was cast, and the powerful Yuanshan fluctuation stirred the power of heaven and earth. The spirit commanding technique controlled the power of heaven and earth with the power of the Yuanshan. The elder of the Xiahou clan was surrounded by a storm. The storm roared, and it directly attacked Mo Tianlin. But Mo Tianlin didn't dodge or retreat. He took a step forward, and a sword chi bloomed around him. The sword chi seemed to be condensed from Mo Tianlin's body. The first sword chi was smashed by the storm, the second sword chi blocked the storm, and the third sword chi directly tore the storm apart. And it wasn't over yet. The fourth sword chi came one after another. The elder of the Xiahou clan roared, and the golden light of his Yuanshan turned into a small sword to resist. The fifth sword chi followed, and the rhythm was so fast that the elder of the Xiahou clan could only use his own aura shield to resist. When the sixth sword chi came, the aura shield was shattered. The seventh sword chi, the elder of the Xiahou clan was forced to burn the power of his Yuanshan to resist. The eighth sword chi directly smashed him into pieces, and he fled while vomiting blood. Xiahozhen on the other side had long felt that something was wrong. He wanted to rescue the elder at the sixth sword chi, but Mo Tianlin's sword chi came one after another at an extremely fast speed. When the ninth sword chi came, Xiahozhen was almost in front of the elder of the Xiahou clan, but he could only watch the elder being penetrated by this sword chi. Killing a real pellet state elder in 9 swords. Although the elder of the Xiahou clan was old, this kind of achievement was still extremely amazing. Good. Xiahozhen spat out 3 good words with a gloomy face. He waved his hand and shouted angrily, "Let's attack together. Kill him." This time, Xiahozhen originally came to kill, but he didn't expect the opponent to kill 2 people first. No matter what means this Mo Tianlin has, he can't escape death today. As Xiahozhen's voice sounded, a group of Xiahou clan warriors immediately attacked the Mo family. Xiahozhen led several elders of the Xiahou clan to attack Mo Tianlin together. As soon as they fought, Xiahozhen suddenly understood why the elder of the Xiahou clan died so miserably. This Mo Tianlin is really weird. His sword chi didn't have any strange power, but it was extremely pure. It was just the simplest sword chi power, but it seemed to be purified countless times. This simplest power was the most difficult to defend. Several real pellet state existences besieged Mo Tianlin, including Xiahozhen, a real pellet state master in his prime, but they still couldn't take down Mo Tianlin. This was a bit shocking. Chu Xiu and Zhang Qingzhen, who were both at the unity of heaven and man realm, were also at this level at their peak. When did Mo Tianlin's talent become so good? However, as they fought, Mo Tianlin had released hundreds of sword chi, but the power of the sword chi was getting weaker and weaker. At the same time, Mo Tianlin's hair had turned gray, and his body exuded a dying aura as if the sword chi he released was his life. In the end, the sword chi was so weak that it was no different from an ordinary unity of the world martial artist. Xiahozhen's eyes flashed with a cold light. He punched out and the golden light from his primordial spirit stirred the wind and clouds. He immediately wanted to kill Mo Tianlin. But at this moment, he suddenly felt an extreme murderous intention locking on him. The power made him tremble from the bottom of his heart. "I can't stop it, I can't hide." Xiahozhen let out a furious roar. His nascent spirit shone brilliantly with golden light as he pushed the art of spirit control to its limits. However, he did not use it to block the attack. Instead, he poured all of the power of his nascent spirit into the body of an elder of the Xiahou clan beside him. The divine imperial technique of the Xiahou clan could forcibly use the power of the essence soul to control others. The elder of the Xiahou clan was immediately pulled to the front by Xiahozhen, and Xiahozhen's figure retreated quickly. In this split second, a black demonic arrow had penetrated the body of the elder of the Xiahou clan, turning him into ashes in an instant. Triple City Annihilation Arrow. The other elders of the Xiahou clan retreated in fear, and Xiahozhen's eyes also showed horror. Just as he had expected, Chu Xiu had indeed come. On the other side of the Mo clan, Chu Xiu, along with Luo Feiheng and over 1,000 elites of the 9 branches, quickly came to support them. The demonic bow in his hand disappeared, and he said indifferently, "We're not late. We're just in time." Luo Feiheng said in surprise, "If Mo Tianlin hadn't stopped them, we would have been really late." Speaking of which, when did that kid Mo Tianlin become so powerful? Lu Jianghu, who was in the Blood Soul Pearl, sighed and said, "There's not a single normal person around you, kid. This kid from the Mo clan is really a ruthless person. He actually cultivates the hidden sword technique." Hidden sword technique? What's that? The name sounded ordinary, with only 3 words. Judging from the number of words, it didn't seem like a powerful martial art. Lu Jianghu explained, to put it bluntly, the hidden sword technique is to hide the sword qi in one's body. Every day, one exhausts all one's strength to condense a sword qi, and then uses the hidden sword technique secret method to seal it in one's body. By hiding the sword in one's body, one will be torn and tortured by the sharp sword qi every day, but one can't stop. Every day, one must repeat the cycle, using one's own body to nurture the sword qi. The longer the time, the stronger the sword qi, and the more sword qi one can hide in one's body. A change in quantity will lead to a change in quality. To put it simply, the hidden sword technique is not to treat oneself as a human, but as a scabbard to store the sword qi, constantly nurturing the sword qi inside. Although the power is strong when one attacks, it is a one-time consumable. What happens if the sword qi is used up? Lu Jianghu chuckled and said, "What is a scabbard without a sword? It's trash. Once the sword qi is used up, the person will naturally be crippled." Chapter 909. The hidden sword technique that Mo Tianlin cultivated felt a bit evil. Listening to Lu Jianghu's description, it didn't seem like a serious martial arts. The pain of hiding the sword in the body was naturally needless to say. Basically, it was like being cut by the sword qi every day. But the problem was that like Chu Xiu and Chen Qingdi's, true fire refinement, and Zhong Xian's, Moonlight King Liuli alchemy body, the pain they suffered during cultivation was also extremely strong. It was just that the power cultivated by the former belonged to the user, while the power cultivated by the hidden sword technique was one-time use. Mo Tianlin was able to kill a real pellet state grandmaster at the Unity of Nature realm, and he also fought with Xiahozhen and others for so many moves. His performance was indeed amazing. But his amazement was like a flash in the pan, only for a moment. It was about to wither. Is it worth it to use this kind of price to exchange for a shortcut that can only bloom for a moment? Lu Jianghu seemed to have guessed Chu Xiu's thoughts. He said faintly, "This kind of technique was originally used as a trump card by some big sword sects in the ancient times. In a big sect, there are people who are bright and extraordinary. That is the face of a big sect and the future of a big sect. But some people don't have such high talent, and they want to repay the sect's kindness. Those people are the core of a big sect. They are the ones who bleed, kill, and counterattack in desperate situations." Looking at this kid's situation, he should only be practicing the hidden sword technique for a few years, but in those big ancient sword sects, some people have been practicing the hidden sword technique for decades or even hundreds of years. There is only one chance to use the hidden sword technique. They have been working hard for decades or even hundreds of years just for the moment of extreme bloom. The sword cultivator has always liked madmen and geniuses. For the person who developed this hidden sword technique, I don't even know whether to call him a madman or a genius. Chu Xiu furrowed his brows. The Mo clan had already fallen to such a state, yet they still wanted to learn from those ancient great sects of the sword. While he was talking to Lu Jianghe, Chu Xiu had already arrived at Mo Tianlin's side. He helped Mo Tianlin up and conveniently threw him a medicinal pill. Of course, in Mo Tianlin's current state, medicinal pills were useless, because he wasn't injured. Instead, all the accumulated sword chi had exploded, and his body had been hollowed out. Mo Tianlin smiled bitterly and said, "Brother Chu, I didn't expect to have to trouble you in the end." Luo Feiheng scolded, "Mo Tianlin, are you out of your mind? I told you to wait for me. I'm going to ask Chu Xiu for help. Why are you risking your life?" Among Chu Xiu's good friends, Luo Feiheng was the first to get to know Mo Tianlin. Both parties failed to go on a blind date, but they became good friends. All along, Luo Feiheng was more aggressive as a woman, while Mo Tianlin's personality was very gentle. Hearing Luo Feiheng's words, Mo Tianlin could only smile bitterly and said, "If I don't risk my life, I'm afraid I won't be able to wait for Brother Chu to save me." This was Mo Tianlin's own choice, so Chu Xiu didn't say much. He just frowned and said, "Why do you want to cultivate the hidden sword technique? Did the Mo family force you?" Mo Tianlin was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Chu Xiu, who used a saber, to know the hidden sword technique. He smiled bitterly and shook his head, "It has nothing to do with the family. They don't know that I cultivate the hidden sword technique. I got it from brother Fang Qi Shao." Fang Qi Shao? When did that happen? Mo Tianlin sighed and said, "A few years ago. At that time, brother Chu and brother Fang got to know each other, and I also got to know brother Fang. Although I feel that brother Fang's personality is a bit, but he's still a good person. The Mo family also uses swords, so I asked brother Fang about swordsmanship, and we talked about the hidden sword technique. The hidden sword technique is brother Fang's own thing. He saw that I was curious about the hidden sword technique, so he generously gave it to me. A person has many choices in life, and I'm very clear about my own talent. Although it's not bad in the entire Jianghu, it can't be compared to brother Chu. Of course, I don't expect to be compared to you. I just want to fight to the death when my family is in danger, and not stand there and wait for death." Mo Tianlin was very open-minded. He wasn't Chu Xiu, and he wasn't Fang Qi Shao. If he wanted to become stronger, what should he do? He could only risk his life and walk the path of swordsmanship. Chu Xiu shook his head lightly, and didn't say much, because this was Mo Tianlin's own choice. Chu Xiu had known Mo Tianlin for a long time, but it was only today that he truly understood what kind of person Mo Tianlin was. Soft on the outside, hard on the inside. This was exactly the kind of personality Mo Tianlin had. Everyone who knew Mo Tianlin felt that he was a gentle and modest gentleman. He did things in a steady manner, and he was neither arrogant nor rash. He was a person that people couldn't have a bad impression of. But in reality, his heart was more radical than anyone else. As a sword cultivator, he naturally knew what the hidden sword technique represented, but he still chose to cultivate it. This kind of courage and willpower wasn't something an ordinary person could have. After patting Mo Tianlin's shoulder, Chu Xiu asked Luo Feiheng to take him away. Then, he turned his head and said to Xiahou Zhen, "Patriarch Xiahou, long time no see." Xiahou Zhen's face stiffened. Just as he was about to say something, he saw Chu Xiu's face turn black instantly. Chu Xiu looked at him coldly and said, Xiahozhen, are you in a hurry to go to hell to meet that son of yours? Chu Xiu. What do you mean? His son had already died in the hands of Chu Xiu, and now Chu Xiu still dared to say this in front of him. This was no longer a provocation, but a humiliation. What do I mean? You should know that Mo Tianlin is a good friend of mine. You didn't give Luo Feihong any face when he came, nor did you give the Azure Dragon Association any face. Therefore, I personally came here today. Patriarch Xiahou, may I ask if you will give me, Chu Xiu, face? With one step, Chu Xiu's body had already set off a monstrous aura. Even the originally clear sky had now become gloomy. Under the pressure of the powerful aura, Xiahozhen's face was full of horror, but he couldn't even say a word. The aura on Chu Xiu's body was formed from killing endless mountains of corpses and seas of blood. In the past, Xiahozhen could still put on a show of power in front of Chu Xiu, but now, if Chu Xiu wanted to kill him, it could be said to be as easy as flipping his hand. At this moment, a golden primordial spirit radiance bloomed in front of Chu Xiu, drawing on the power of heaven and earth, blocking the impact of Chu Xiu's powerful aura. Xiahou Su blocked in front of Xiahozhen and said in a low voice, Official Chu, it's not that my Xiahou clan doesn't give you face, but this is an internal dispute of the 9 great clans. It has nothing to do with you, Official Chu. Mo Tianlin is your good friend, so you have to interfere in this matter. If everyone in the pugilistic world is your good friend, won't you have too many things to manage? Chu Xiu stared at Xiahou Su. This was his first time meeting this Xiahou clan's ancestor. Chu Xiu didn't know much about Xiahou Su, and he wasn't interested in understanding him. Chu Xiu suddenly said, Xiahou Su, do you think I'm an idiot? Xiahou Su frowned. What do you mean? Everyone in the pugilistic world knew about Chu Xiu's rise to power. Although there were many people who hated Chu Xiu, they had to admit that Chu Xiu was indeed capable of scheming. If he were an idiot, then there wouldn't be many smart people in the pugilistic world. Chu Xiu said coldly, What do you mean? Xiahou Su, are you still not willing to speak the truth? The Mo family has no quarrel with your Xiahou clan. In fact, the entire Mo family of Xiangyang is trying its best to avoid conflict with other factions. Under these circumstances, your Xiahou clan has nothing better to do than to specifically deal with the Mo family. You've even mobilized so many people, looking like you're trying to kill us all. I don't believe that there's no ulterior motive behind all this. Now that I'm here in person, your Xiahou clan still doesn't give me face. Fine, I'll give it a try today. Let's see if your Xiahou clan has something to rely on, or if you're just looking down on me, Chu Xiu. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Xiu slashed at Xiahou Su with his saber. The shocking saber radiance seemed to be able to tear everything apart. Terrifying demonic aura swirled around the saber, and there was even a faint, mournful howl of a demon god. After the heavenly Dao War box had been upgraded and reinforced by Master Mo Yezi, it didn't look any different on the surface, but once it was used, it felt very different from before. Xiahou Su hadn't expected Chu Xiu to attack just like that. The golden radiance of his primordial spirit drew upon the power of heaven and earth. He formed a seal with both hands and abruptly pressed forward. In an instant, the surrounding primordial chi of heaven and earth condensed within the seal to meet Chu Xiu's saber. At Xiahou Su's level, the Xiahou clan's spirit manipulation art was already very powerful. The powerful could use the power of the primordial spirit to draw upon the power of heaven and earth, and the power they could unleash would far exceed that of warriors of the same level. After all, human strength was limited, but the power of heaven and earth was infinite. The powerful could unleash the evil power of the primordial spirit's secret technique itself, which could catch the opponent off guard. The spirit concentration seal that Xiahou Su used now was the direct use of the spirit manipulation art. Under the seal, the powerful power of heaven and earth seemed to be overflowing. There was a loud bang as the saber radiance and the seal collided. The huge force that erupted even caused the ground to tremble. Xiahou Su's eyes revealed a look of horror. This Chu Xiu was so powerful. As for Chu Xiu, Xiahou Su, who hadn't left the clan for a long time, only knew about him from rumors. However, when he really fought with Chu Xiu today, he could feel how terrifying he was. The crushing power of that absolute power was enough to make one despair. Chu Xiu's expression didn't change as he slashed with the unique heavenly saber in his hand. The demonic aura around his body had been condensed to the extreme, and the inner force and true fire floated around his body, burning fiercely. Every slash was the peak of Chu Xiu's power, and it had the power to shatter mountains and break rivers. Although Xiahou Su could use the spirit manipulation art to draw upon the primordial qi of heaven and earth to resist, the recoil was so strong that he wanted to vomit blood. Xiahou Su subconsciously looked back. What was Lin Songlong waiting for? If he didn't make a move now, he really wouldn't be able to hold on. Chapter 9-10. Chu Xiu did not take an opponent at Xiahou Su's level seriously. In terms of true strength, Xiahou Su was not much stronger than the Sun family's patriarch and the Lu family's patriarch. However, because he cultivated the spirit control technique, his combat power did not decline even though his body had aged. Even so, he was still struggling to hold on. After more than 10 moves, he was already in a dangerous situation. Chu Xiu narrowed his eyes. Every slash was an extremely ferocious killer. Although he did not know who was behind the Xiahou clan, it was clear that with the Xiahou clan's courage, they would not dare to disrespect him unless they had a certain backing. Just as Xiahou Su was in a dangerous situation, a cold voice was heard. Trash! As the voice fell, a thunderous dragon roar was heard. Lin Songlong, who was wearing a black dragon robe with golden patterns, descended from the sky. With a wave of his hand, green gang qi erupted with a bloody aura. It transformed into a dragon claw that tore the sky and earth apart, directly crushing Chu Xiu's blade radiance. At the same time, Lin Songlong took a step forward. A huge pit immediately exploded under his feet. It was as if the earth was quaking, causing the entire Mo family's surroundings to tremble. With a punch, it was like a dragon fighting in the wilderness. The terrifying fist intent was filled with a wild and crazy battle intent, and it collided with Chu Xiu's peerless heavenly blade. A loud sound of metal colliding was heard. It was as if a storm was set off around Chu Xiu. He took a few steps back, and with every step he took, a pit would explode under his feet. What powerful strength! This was Chu Xiu's first impression of Lin Songlong. The heavenly law war box had been strengthened by Mo Yezi with flowing light evil moon. It could be said that the material of this weapon was equivalent to 2 other weapons. Its toughness and sharpness were not inferior to Chu Xiu's heavenly demon dance. However, under Lin Songlong's punch, the huge force from the peerless heavenly blade was almost unbearable for Chu Xiu. Moreover, the opponent's fist intent was so strong that Chu Xiu had only seen it on one person before, and that was Qingqing Di. In terms of fist techniques, the other party's attainments were probably on par with Qingqing Di's. People from the Elysium? Chu Xiu narrowed his eyes and suddenly opened his mouth. The people of the Elysium had a very strange characteristic. It should be said that their temperament was different from that of ordinary people in the Jianghu. Therefore, as long as you have seen an Elysium martial artist, it would be very easy to recognize them. Lin Songlong stood with his hands behind his back. A powerful aura spread out from his body. It was so powerful that it made the people of the Mo clan feel as if doomsday had arrived. Heavenly Gate, Lin Songlong. Staring at Chu Xiu, an unfathomable smile appeared in Lin Songlong's eyes. You are Chu Xiu? Interesting, very interesting. It's fine if Divine Lord Luo, that boorish fellow, suffered a setback at your hands, but Kuang Xieyue, that crazy fellow, isn't easy to deal with. In the end, he lost the key in your hands. This is very unexpected. However, I still have to thank you. If you hadn't caused those two fellows to be punished by the master, I wouldn't have appeared in the Jianghu so quickly. Hearing Lin Songlong's words, Chu Xiu could confirm his previous guess. It was true that the people of the Elysium could not casually step into the Jianghu for various reasons. There should be some kind of restriction, so only one person could come out at a time. Moreover, there was a certain time limit. The dignified 9 great divine generals of the Elysium are actually playing tricks in the dark. I am very curious. Did the Mo clan offend the Elysium? Or is there another reason why you insist on killing the Mo clan? Lin Songlong said indifferently, I have to correct you on one point. That fellow Kuang Xieyue might be able to use tricks, but I don't care to use them. I can't be bothered to use them either. If it wasn't for the fact that this bunch of trash is too slow, I would have already taken the item and left. As he spoke, Lin Songlong looked at Xiahou Su and Xiahou Zhen and scolded them again, trash. Previously, it was you who insisted on acting on your own and first sent a small number of people to test the waters. In the end, you alerted the enemy. If you had listened to my instructions, we could have directly destroyed the Mo clan in one go and obtained the item. How would there have been so much trouble? Xiahou Su opened his mouth but didn't say anything. In one go? How could it be so simple? If they didn't test the waters, how would they know what the Mo clan's current strength was and whether they had any other trump cards? If they didn't care about anything and just charged forward directly, what if the other party had some powerful trump card and the Xiahou clan suffered heavy casualties, would the Elysium care? At this moment, Chu Xiu was stunned when he heard this. You attacked the Mo clan just for one thing? You know how powerful the Mo clan is. Even if you didn't show up, you could have directly let the Xiahou clan use their power to force the Mo clan to hand over the item. For just one thing, you want to destroy an entire clan to obtain it? Chu Xiu didn't feel that Lin Songlong was ruthless. In fact, he had destroyed more clans than Lin Songlong. Of course, he had no right to criticize Lin Songlong in this aspect. He just felt that Lin Songlong's actions were like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. Just like how he and Hidden Sword Villa previously, Chu Xiu had only come for the flowing light evil moon. He had previously sent an invitation to threaten them, but Hidden Sword Villa had rejected it, so he had acted. However, Lin Songlong had directly skipped this step and actually made such a big move. Lin Songlong didn't hide this matter. He only said lightly, I just don't want to cause trouble. Everyone is greedy. No one in the Mo clan has paid attention to that item for hundreds of years. If I ask for it rashly, the Mo clan will definitely know that it is a treasure. Even if the Mo clan members don't know what exactly that item is, they might be greedy and do a series of troublesome things. That is very troublesome, and I hate it very much. Therefore, I killed them all and let the Mo clan members be a bunch of confused ghosts. This way, everyone can save effort. It's a pity that I chose a group of even more idiotic people to do this. If I had known this would happen, I would have done it myself. Even if the commotion was too big, I could just leave after doing it. I think there wouldn't be so much trouble now. Lin Songlong stood behind the Xiahou clan only because he was too big of a target. If someone from the heavenly gates made a move, it would definitely attract attention and attract some unnecessary trouble. If the Xiahou clan made a move, it would be an internal matter of the 9 great clans. It would be much less of a target. In the end, he didn't expect that the Xiahou clan would drag things out. It was better for him to make a move himself. After listening to Lin Songlong's explanation, Chu Xiu could finally confirm that this was indeed something that someone from the heavenly gates would do. The way the other party thought about things was just so strange. What Lin Songlong said was indeed possible. It was very normal for greed to blind one's eyes. However, the probability of this happening was very low, especially for a cautious clan like the Mo clan. In the end, Lin Songlong made such a big fuss because of such a low probability of success. He wanted to destroy the entire Mo clan and seize the item. Wasn't he worried that in the process of destroying the entire clan, he would destroy what he wanted? In reality, this wasn't the first time the Heavenly Gates had done something like this. A few decades ago, Divine Lord Luo had once robbed a small clan and destroyed their entire clan, causing Chu Kuanga to fight to the death with him. The Heavenly Gates, who didn't play by the rules, met Chu Kuanga, who didn't play by the rules. In the end, one died and the other was seriously injured. Divine Lord Luo failed his mission and lost face for a few decades. Glancing at the Mo clan members, Chu Xiu said calmly, "But now, you have even more trouble." "You're right, everyone is greedy and stupid. I, Chu Xiu, am also greedy. Although I don't want to care about the Mo clan's matters, Mo Tianlin is my good friend. I have to care about this matter. Moreover, if the Heavenly Gates want something, of course I want it even more." Although Mo Qingming's strength was slightly weaker among the 9 great clans, he was still considered smart. Hearing this, he immediately said, "As long as Official Chu can protect the Mo clan, Official Chu can take whatever you want from the Mo clan." Mo Qingming could also see that the only person who could protect them was Chu Xiu. If he didn't stand on Chu Xiu's side, what else could he do? Lin Songlong's face didn't show any anger. His expression was still as calm as ever, as if nothing could make him panic or angry. "You mean, you want to snatch something from me? Aren't you afraid of the Heavenly Gates?" Chu Xiu squinted his eyes and said, "I haven't settled the score with Kuang Xieyue yet. I don't know when Kuang Xieyue will appear in the pugilistic world again, but I will wait for him. Of course, if one day I have enough strength and he still hasn't come out, I will personally go to the Heavenly Gates to find him." Hearing this, Lin Songlong immediately burst into laughter. There was no disdain or mockery, it was as if he had just seen something interesting. Interesting. Today, I want to see if you really have the guts, or if you're just ignorant." As Lin Songlong's voice fell, an angry roar of a dragon erupted from his body. A greenish-red aura erupted from his body and attacked Chu Xiu like a huge dragon. Lin Songlong's martial technique was very strange. Chu Xiu could tell that he cultivated in a body-tempering cultivation technique. Furthermore, the strength of his fleshly body had already been cultivated to an extremely powerful level. He was even stronger than Chu Xiu, who had cultivated in true fire-tempering body. But his martial arts was very strange. When he attacked, his body turned into a dragon, which was different from Butiannan's dragon form that forcibly condensed the blood of the green dragon. Lin Songlong seemed to have seen a real dragon. His body was human, but his figure had dragon intent. The head was the dragon's head, the spine was the dragon's body, and the legs were the dragon's tail. The dragon roared angrily and killed everywhere. The powerful aura seemed to tear this side of the world. Every blow was earth-shattering. The power was extremely terrifying. Chu Xiu squinted his eyes, and a strange power burst out from the peerless heavenly blade in his hand. Buddha's light, Daoist connotation, demonic power, the three merged together, affecting the power of heaven and earth, making the power of each slash of Chu Xiu almost reach his peak. After deducing and discussing martial arts with Xiao Baiyu for a month, Chu Xiu did not gain nothing. The most obvious thing was that his use and control of power was stronger than before. At present, Chu Xiu's physical body could already defeat most of the real fire spirit refinement state, but he was still in the real pellet state. But at this time, Chu Xiu's control of power was infinitely close to the real fire spirit refinement state. He was only one step away from this realm. Chapter 9-11. The impact of the battle between Chu Xiu and Lin Songlong was too great. Both sides had only exchanged a few blows, but the entire Mo family's mansion was already in a mess. Lin Songlong stared at Chu Xiu and laughed. Daoist, Buddhist, and demonic lineages combined? Are you really not afraid of cultivation going berserk? Interesting, really interesting. As his voice fell, Lin Songlong's fists smashed down one after another. The hazy shadow of the azure dragon behind him was attached to his back. It let out a dragon's roar, and every punch had the power to shatter a mountain. Chu Xiu retreated, avoiding the powerful edge of Lin Songlong's punches. His opponent was too strong, so strong that Chu Xiu did not want to fight him head-on. In the past, it was Chu Xiu who used strength to suppress others. He did not expect that there would be a day when he, Chu Xiu, would be crushed by strength. Hide? You can't hide. Lin Songlong's hands formed a seal. In an instant, the greenish-red gang qi around his body attracted the powerful power of the stars. Amidst the starlight that filled the sky, the 7 mansions of the east, Horn, Kong, Root, Fong, Xian, Wei, and Fan, all connected in an instant. Chu Xiu's body was directly enveloped by the starlight. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him, suppressing his body. Even his true qi and primordial spirit were suppressed. Originally, Chu Xiu thought that Lin Songlong was a warrior who specialized in cultivating the physical body. He did not expect him to be proficient in this kind of secret technique. Seeing the powerful punch coming towards him, the peerless heavenly saber in Chu Xiu's hand exploded with an extremely pure demonic aura. The long saber slashed horizontally, breaking the painting with one slash. The entire world froze like a painting. The imprisonment of the starlight was torn apart by Chu Xiu's saber, heading towards Lin Songlong. However, to everyone's surprise, Chu Xiu's misty red dust slash, which could freeze space, did not manage to freeze Lin Songlong's figure. His pair of iron fists seemed to be able to shatter everything. The misty red dust slash's effect of freezing space only froze him for a moment before it was shattered. The saber and the fists collided, producing a loud boom that sounded like a great bell. The loudest sound was deafening. The powerful collision was like a sound wave, reverberating within a radius of over 10 miles. Some of the weaker disciples of the Xiahou clan and the Mo clan who were closer to them couldn't withstand the force at all. They immediately covered their ears and cried out in pain. Blood even flowed out of their ears, scaring them into hurriedly retreating. Chu Xiu and Lin Songlong retreated a few steps. Looking at the 2 obvious white marks on his hands, Lin Songlong said, "The Kunlun Devil Cult's ethereal red dust slash, imprisoning space and severing the mortal world." Unfortunately, the gate of heaven is no longer in this mortal world. Lin Songlong took a step forward, and his figure was already floating in mid-air with the support of his gang energy. Powerful gang energy circled around his body, and a gang energy storm danced. As Lin Songlong's foot landed, his figure was like a divine dragon swinging its tail. This swing of its tail could set off monstrous waves and natural disasters. At this moment, what was crashing down on Chu Xiu was the vast and surging sea of gang energy. Chu Xiu let out a low shout, and the sea-breaking slash of the 7 limits was unleashed. It was also an extremely fierce and domineering saber technique. The saber light that could tear apart the raging waves of the vast sea fell. Another loud collision was heard, and Chu Xiu retreated another few hundred feet. However, Lin Songlong was still hovering in mid-air, as if the saber did not cause him any harm at all. However, in the next moment, a giant bow of devil qi had already condensed in Chu Xiu's hand. The triple city extinguishing arrow suddenly shot out, and the black devil arrow with the power of nirvanic extermination appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. The power of nirvanic extermination of the triple city extinguishing arrow could be said to be extremely domineering. It was the most extreme destructive power in the world, and there was almost no way to counter it other than to resist it head-on. However, Lin Songlong did something that no one had expected. He actually reached out and grabbed the triple city extinguishing arrow in his hand. Green-red gang energy surged into his hand, but it was instantly torn apart by the power of nirvanic extermination of the arrow. However, Lin Songlong's powerful gang energy seemed to be inexhaustible, and it frantically poured into the arrow. In the end, he actually used his own strength to completely wear down the power of nirvanic extermination. The triple city extinguishing arrow of the past Dugu Weiwei? It's a tricky thing, but you're not Dugu Weiwei. From the looks of it, Lin Songlong had also consumed a lot of gang energy to forcibly destroy the triple city extinguishing arrow. However, he seemed to be more willing to use such an extreme and violent method to fight. Chu Xiu frowned slightly. There were strong and weak divine generals in the Tianmen. At the very least, Lin Songlong was the strongest divine general he had seen. Judging from his cultivation, he had already reached the peak of the true fire spirit refinement state, and his cultivation was close to that of Su Yun, Dong Huangtai, and the others. This made things a little tricky. An opponent of this level was not easy to deal with. At the very least, it was not something that the current Chu Xiu could deal with. Just as Lin Songlong was about to continue attacking, Chu Xiu suddenly said, "Divine General Lin, are you sure you want to continue fighting?" Divine generals of the Tianmen really live up to their reputation. My current cultivation is a level lower than yours. However, no matter how strong your cultivation is, can it be stronger than an existence in the mysterious heaven and earth realm? I can't defeat you, but I wonder if you can defeat an existence in the mysterious heaven and earth realm? When Chu Xiu said that his cultivation was not as good as Lin Songlong's, he was not embarrassed at all, and Lin Songlong was not arrogant either. Strictly speaking, he was a realm higher than Chu Xiu. What was there to be proud of if he won? It would be embarrassing if he lost. Mysterious heaven and earth realm? Divine generals like Lin Songlong were actually not interested in the disputes in the Jianghu. Even if they were interested, they would just watch the show. When the righteous path and fiend path had first started, Lin Songlong had just walked out of the Tianmen gate. He really did not know what was going on. Xiahou Su, who was at the side, hurriedly sent a voice transmission to Lin Songlong, telling him about the scene of the previous righteous path and fiend path and the mysterious existence in the mysterious heaven and earth realm under Chu Xiu. After Lin Songlong heard this, the corner of his eyes could not help but twitch. Lin Songlong could ignore the others, but he was not arrogant enough to think that he could fight against an existence in the mysterious heaven and earth realm by himself. Moreover, this Chu Xiu should not have used his full strength. In the previous righteous path and fiend path, he had seriously injured Ling Yunzi, who was at the peak of the true fire spirit refinement realm. After a pause, Lin Songlong said, "You are threatening me with that existence in the mysterious heaven and earth realm? As far as I know, he is not by your side now." Chu Xiu also said lightly, "But believe it or not, even if you get the item today, it is not certain whether you can walk out of Eastern Qi. You should know what the strength of the mysterious heaven and earth realm is like. It is not a good feeling to be stared at by an existence in the mysterious heaven and earth realm. I can guess that the Tianmen must have sent you on a mission. If you can complete the mission under the command of a mysterious heaven and earth realm expert and return to the Tianmen safely, that is your ability." At this moment, Lin Songlong's face revealed a real look of anger. He said, "You are threatening me, threatening the Tianmen. How dare you?" For so many years, the Tianmen had actually done a lot of outrageous things in the Jianghu, but basically no one cared about it. Everyone knew the strength of the Tianmen, who would dare to meddle in their business. Moreover, the Tianmen only came out after a long time, and they could not stay in the Jianghu for long. After a while, they would leave, so it was better to pretend that they did not see them. Only Chu Kuanga was stubborn and insisted on fighting to the death with the Tianmen. In the end, both sides were injured, and he paid the price with his life. Chu Xiu said coldly, "See if I dare or not." Lin Songlong only knew a little about the various deeds of Chu Xiu, and most of them were heard from Kuang Xieyue. Although he was curious about Chu Xiu, he did not know much about him. Xiahou Su, who was at the side, hurriedly told Lin Songlong about the various deeds and character of Chu Xiu, and even slightly exaggerated them. Xiahou Su really did not want to fight anymore. It was fine for the Xiahou family to destroy the Mo family just because of karma, but to go against Chu Xiu was a matter of losing his head. After a moment of silence, Lin Songlong asked, "What do you want?" Chu Xiu was a little surprised to see Lin Songlong agree so quickly. He thought that Lin Songlong must be an extremely stubborn person, but Chu Xiu did not expect that Xiahou Su would secretly help him. "What I want is very simple. The Mo family must be preserved. At the same time, what exactly do you want? As long as you tell me, I can even make the decision to let the Mo family take out everything." To be honest, Chu Xiu was quite curious about the Tian men. All these years, the Tian men would send out a divine general to look for something every once in a while. What exactly were they looking for? What was the use of it? These were all secrets of the Tian men, and even the wind-sweeping building did not have any records of it. Just when Chu Xiu thought that Lin Songlong would refuse and even state some conditions, he said, "What do I want? It's very simple. I actually just want something that originally did not belong to the Mo family." Chu Xiu was slightly surprised that Lin Songlong had really agreed. Mo Qingming hurriedly said, "Even if it really did belong to the Mo family would be willing to take it out in exchange for peace, let alone something that doesn't belong to the Mo family." The Mo family was really afraid. Anyway, the Mo family did not have anything good. Even if Lin Songlong wanted to empty the entire Mo family, it would be a blessing as long as they could stay alive. 500 years ago, didn't your Mo family take in a strange monk? He did not seem like someone from the Central Plains. He seemed like a demon but not a demon, like a Buddha but not a Buddha. Mo Qingming frowned. How would he know about something that happened 500 years ago? At this moment, an elder of the Mo family said, "Patriarch, there was such a thing. It was recorded in the ancient records of our ancestors." The records were very simple. It only said that the patriarch of that generation took in the monk. The monk seemed to have promised the Mo family something, but he passed away a few years later. Lin Songlong said in a deep voice, "What I want is the thing that the monk left behind. As far as I know, that thing should not have been thrown away by you." Chapter 9:12. Originally, Chu Xiu thought that what Lin Songlong wanted was definitely what Divine Lord Luo wanted to snatch. He didn't expect it to be related to some monk. Chu Xiu glanced at the people of Mo family. The Mo family elder who answered before immediately understood Chu Xiu's meaning and hurriedly ran into Mo family to look for it. What happened hundreds of years ago was too long for Mo family. Even Mo Qingming, the old ancestor of Mo family, didn't know about it. The elder knew about this matter because he liked to read books when he was young. He had flipped through all the ancient books in the Mo family before finding out about this matter. After a long while, the Mo family elder rummaged through the cabinets and finally found a package in the deepest part of the treasure house. In front of everyone, the Mo family elder opened the package. There was only a black robe embroidered with strange characters. Apart from that, there was only a black token and a map in it. The token should be something like an identity nameplate. Looking at the map, it should be a very remote location in the South Barbarian land. "Hey, it's something from the big black heavenly demon cult." Lu Jiang, he suddenly exclaimed. "Big black heavenly demon cult? Do you know the origin of this thing?" Chu Xiu asked. Lu Jiang, he said, "Of course I know. You even have some connections with this big black heavenly demon cult. Do you remember how you got the Triple City Extinguishing Arrow?" Chu Xiu was just about to say that the Triple Link City Extermination Arrow was passed down by Dugu Weiwa, but then he realized something. Wei Shuya seemed to have told him that the Triple Link City extermination arrow wasn't actually created by Dugu Weiwa. It was obtained by him when he destroyed a foreign sect. After improving it, it became the version of the Triple City extinguishing arrow that Chu Xiu cultivated. The sect that was destroyed by Dugu Weiwei was this big black heavenly demon cult. But aren't they monks? How did they become a demonic sect? Lu Jiang, he said, we were the ones who gave them the name Mahakala Heavenly Demon Cult. When they came out, they mumbled a bunch of bird language. Who knows what they are called? It could be seen from the Triple Link City destruction arrow that the cultivation method of those fellows was very evil. How could it have anything to do with Buddhism? Therefore, we named them the Great Mahakala Demon Cult based on the characteristics of their techniques. However, those foreign monks should have all died. The place where they preached in the Central Plains was also destroyed by our sacred sect. Looks like the place marked on the map should be the ancestral land of the Great Black Heavenly Demon Cult. Chu Xiu raised his head to look at Lin Songlong. You are looking for the ancestral grounds of the Great Black Heavenly Demon Cult? Lin Songlong frowned slightly. Great Black Heavenly Demon Cult? This name was quite appropriate. To be more precise, I only want one thing from the Great Black Sky Demon Cult. That thing is useless to you. Apart from the people of my heavenly gates, it is useless to anyone else. Therefore, I can give you everything in the entire Mahakala Heavenly Demon Cult, but that thing is something that I must obtain no matter what. Don't underestimate the power of the heavenly gates. I am not a lunatic like Kuang Xieyue. Therefore, I can still calmly negotiate with you. If it were anyone else, you, Chu Xiu, would not be able to escape if the Mo family was destroyed. The heaven and earth elemental opening realm is an invincible supreme existence to the other pugilistic world powers. However, to my heavenly gates, it is just a slightly troublesome opponent. Although Lin Songlong's attitude was still unyielding, everyone could hear the meaning behind his words. It was fine for Chu Xiu to want a share of the loot. However, the prerequisite was that he could not snatch the thing that Lin Songlong wanted. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingming and the other members of the Mo family revealed a bitter smile. They finally understood what Mo Tianlin had said to them previously. In this pugilistic world, being weak was in itself a sin. Similarly, if Lin Songlong wanted that thing, he would destroy their Mo family. It was because he was worried that the minuscule probability of obtaining it would cause trouble. In fact, if Chu Xiu had not forced Lin Songlong out, the Mo family might not even know how they died. However, now that it was Chu Xiu, who had the strength to fight Lin Songlong and even had the support of a heaven and earth elemental opening realm expert, Lin Songlong's attitude changed in an instant. As long as Chu Xiu agreed to his conditions, they could cooperate. This was the difference in strength. If one was not strong enough, they would not even have the right to choose the method of death. Looking at Lin Songlong, Chu Xiu revealed a smile and said, "No problem. Anyone who has cooperated with me, Chu Xiu, will not suffer a loss." Lin Songlong looked at Chu Xiu with some surprise. This kid was really something. He had heard about the grudge between Kuang Xieyue and Chu Xiu. He had thought that Kuang Xieyue would definitely be very hostile to the people of the elemental gates. He did not expect that Kuang Xieyue would be willing to cooperate with him. Actually, Chu Xiu was also a little curious about Lin Songlong. This person could be said to be the most normal person among the people of the elemental gates that he had come into contact with. Of course, he was only slightly more normal than Divine Lord Luo and Kuang Xieyue. Divine Lord Luo's way of doing things could be summed up in one word: kill. It was extremely simple and violent. He really thought of himself as a superior existence and looked at everyone else as if they were ants. As for Kuang Xieyue, he was a temperamental lunatic. There was no way to communicate with him. Lin Songlong's way of doing things was also very problematic. However, he only pursued one thing, and the less trouble, the better. In his opinion, exterminating the Mo clan would cause the least trouble. Therefore, he attacked without any hesitation. After Chu Xiu displayed his strength, he was not confident that he could take down Chu Xiu if he continued to fight recklessly. If he provoked Shang Tianliang, it would attract even more trouble and affect his mission. Therefore, he felt that it was worth it to give some benefits to Chu Xiu in exchange for the two of them joining forces. After all, he did not care about those things. After looking around, Lin Songlong said indifferently, "There are many people who have heard about this. Kill all of them to prevent trouble from spreading." Upon hearing this, not only were the people of the Mo clan shocked, but even the people of the Xiahou clan had a change in expression. This was because Lin Songlong was also looking at them when he said this. Chu Xiu raised his eyebrows and said, "Are you joking?" Lin Songlong calmly replied, "I never joke around. There are some things you don't know. Your so-called Mahakala heavenly demon cult has deep connections with the Buddhist sect. Once news of this gets out, it will attract the experts of the Buddhist sect." Chu Xiu rubbed his head. He felt that Lin Songlong was normal, but now it seemed that he was also abnormal. Just because he was afraid of trouble, he wanted to kill so many people. What was going on in his head? Don't joke around. There are so many people here. Can you kill them all? Moreover, 2 of the 9 great families have been slaughtered by you. Such a big matter will attract even more trouble. Lin Songlong said indifferently, "I won't kill them. But if those monks really come looking for trouble, you will be the one to suffer. Anyway, I only want one thing. Also, since you have the map, immediately set off for the southern barbaric land. I don't have that much time to waste." Chu Xiu turned to Luo Feiheng and said, "During this period of time, you will stay in the Mo family and help guard. We will talk about other matters after I come." After speaking, Chu Xiu turned to Mo Tianlin and said, "It's best if you don't cultivate the hidden sword technique. Even if you want to become stronger, you can't use this method. Fortunately, you haven't cultivated the hidden sword technique to the late stage. Otherwise, your meridians and dantian will be destroyed by the sword qi. At that time, even the gods won't be able to save you." Mo Tianlin smiled bitterly and nodded. Even if he wanted to cultivate the hidden sword technique, there was no other way. He was the most outstanding disciple of the younger generation of the Mo family. The people of the Mo family would not be so short-sighted to let their future son cultivate this kind of martial art. After giving these instructions, Chu Xiu followed Lin Songlong to the southern barbaric land. At the same time, before leaving, he took a deep look at Xiahou Shi, which made Xiahou Zhen and Xiahou Su feel a chill in their hearts at the same time. They also knew that they had offended Chu Xiu enough in this matter, but they were also helpless. If they didn't offend Chu Xiu, they would have to offend Lin Songlong. In the end, they had joined forces, and in the end, they were the ones who had offended Lin Songlong. And this time, the people of Xiahou Shi also saw clearly what the people of Elysium were thinking. For Elysium, the people of Xiahou Shi were not even dogs. They were just tools that would be thrown away after being used. Based on what Lin Songlong said just now, they knew that Lin Songlong really didn't care about their lives. In the future, even if Chu Xiu came to find trouble with them, the people of Elysium wouldn't care. They couldn't even find the people of Elysium. This bitter fruit could only be swallowed by Xiahou Shi. On the other hand, Chu Xiu followed Lin Songlong to the southern barbaric land without stopping. Along the way, the two sides could be said to have no communication. Chu Xiu wanted to get some information from Lin Songlong, whether it was about the Black Sky Demon cult or the Elysium. In the end, Lin Songlong didn't respond at all. Lin Songlong only had the thought of completing this task. How could he have the mood to chat with Chu Xiu? Even this time, if it weren't for the fact that Chu Xiu had the strength to fight with him and Shang Tianliang behind him, it would be very troublesome. With Lin Songlong's character, how could he cooperate with him? The southern barbaric land was located in the southernmost part of the 100,000 mountains. It was covered with primitive forests, and the climate was hot and humid. There were poisonous insects and ferocious beasts everywhere. It was simply an undeveloped place. So for so many years, apart from the ascetic monks of Subodhi Monastery who could survive in this harsh environment, there were only some local barbarian tribes here. The ancestral land of the Black Sky Demon cult was marked on the map. It was located in the deepest part of the southern barbaric land. It was sparsely populated and was a barbarian land that very few people set foot in. Legend had it that there were even ancient ferocious beasts. Chu Xiu and Lin Canglong spent more than a month traveling at their fastest speed before arriving here. However, after arriving here, they discovered that things were a bit troublesome. This was because the map was from 500 years ago, and the terrain here had already changed. Chapter 9:13. 500 years was enough for a lot of things to happen. The area marked on the map was the deepest part of the southern wilderness. Looking at the appearance, it was obvious that there had been several earthquakes and other natural changes that changed the terrain in the past 500 years. The map was no longer of much use. Lin Canglong frowned. Trouble, it's trouble again. He hated trouble the most. Chu Xiu said in a deep voice, "Ask the local barbarians. There should be some clues. They have lived in the southern wilderness for a long time. Maybe some people have entered the depths and found something." Lin Canglong had no other way but to do as Chu Xiu said for the time being. There were many small tribes like this in the southern wilderness. Chu Xiu randomly found one and directly descended with Lin Canglong in the small tribe. These small tribes in the southern wilderness were very simple. Most of them were some thatched huts and tree houses. Most of the barbarian warriors were only proficient in some simple martial arts. They were very crude and could not be compared with the prosperous martial arts of the Central Plains. However, this did not mean that these southern barbarians were really weak and could be trampled on. Among these southern barbarians, some of them were priests. They were proficient in various evil secret techniques, which were very different from the martial arts of the Central Plains. They were very difficult to deal with. As soon as Chu Xiu and Lin Canglong's aura descended, the small southern barbarian tribe was immediately frightened. Thousands of barbarian natives of the southern barbarian land rushed out in an instant. They held all kinds of simple weapons and looked at the two vigilantly. Chu Xiu said faintly, "Don't be so excited. I just want to inquire about something." As he spoke, Chu Xiu threw out a few precious weapons. These were made by Mo Yezi when he was practicing in the Mirror Lake Villa. Although they were works of practice for Master Mo Yezi, they were treasures for others. Chu Xiu bought them all and gave them to the people of the Jianghu Hall. In the southern wilderness, what they lacked the most was actually weapons. The priests in the tribe knew how to concoct medicine. Although it wasn't alchemy, the medicine they concocted was not inferior to alchemy. It was just that the shelf life was a little shorter. It was useless to give them things like cultivation methods because most of the people in the southern barbaric land didn't know the words of the Central Plains. If they couldn't understand it, how could they cultivate? Moreover, their way of thinking was also different. It was naturally impossible for these southern barbarians to understand what Dao law was. Instead, things like weapons that could be used right away were the most attractive to them. Chu Xiu said in a deep voice, "Is there anyone who can speak Central Plains Chinese? I'm here to ask for directions. If you answer me, all these things are yours." A commotion broke out in the crowd. A middle-aged man dressed in a simple and crude beast skin robe with an extraordinary aura stepped out and shouted in stiff Central Plains Chinese, "I know you. You are an evil demon who is the enemy of the divine monk of Subodhi Monastery. Although my Inha tribe is poor, we are not so poor that we have to make a deal with the evil demon." Upon hearing this, Chu Xiu's face suddenly darkened. He didn't expect that his reputation in the southern barbaric land would be so bad, and he didn't expect that the reputation of Sabodhi Monastery in the southern barbaric land was so great. In fact, although this was the first time that Chu Xiu had come to the southern barbaric land, his reputation had long been spread in the southern barbaric land. Previously, Wei Shuya brought a group of Yinma clan people to take revenge and killed a lot in the southern barbaric land. Later, he sent the masters of Phaseless Demon sect and Yinma clan to attack Sabodhi Monastery. It was estimated that this matter had spread throughout the southern barbaric land. In the southern barbaric land, Sabodhi Monastery was almost a holy land, and Rama was regarded as a true Buddha and a divine monk by the natives of the southern barbaric land. In this way, it would be strange for Chu Xiu to be popular here. Lin Songlong said coldly, "It's so troublesome. If they are disobedient, just kill them until someone is obedient." Lin Songlong's way of doing things was still so simple and crude. The leader of the southern barbaric tribe said hatefully, "Even if you kill us, we won't show you the way. With the divine monk's protection, even if we die, we can avoid the pain of the 6 paths of reincarnation and enter the Elysium." Chu Xiu frowned. These natives of the southern barbaric land understood the Buddhist scriptures in a mess. What were they talking about? However, he had to say that ignorance had its advantages. They were really not afraid of death and thought that they could really go to the Elysium after death. Chu Xiu waved his hand, motioning Lin Songlong not to make a move and leave it to him. He said lightly, "You think that you can enter the Elysium if you would rather die than surrender in front of me, an evil demon, right? But what if you die in the hands of your own people?" The leader of the southern barbaric tribe frowned and said, "What do you mean?" Chu Xiu said lightly, "How big is the entire southern barbaric land? You are loyal to the monks of Sabodhi Monastery, but others may not be loyal. Do you see these weapons? They are all precious weapons forged by the master refiners of the Central Plains. If I take these things and ask the other southern barbaric tribes to destroy you, do you think they will agree? Some people may refuse, but in such a big southern barbaric land, there will definitely be people who will accept it." The dark face of the leader of the southern barbaric tribe was a little pale at this time. Obviously, he thought of something bad. The evil demon was right. Some people's faith was not firm, and it was easy to be bewitched by the evil demon's greed. If he was killed by them, would he still be able to enter the Elysium? Lin Songlong looked at Chu Xiu scaring the southern barbaric natives there, and he curled his lips with some disdain. If it was him, he would not do such a troublesome thing. If he killed them one by one, there would always be someone who was afraid of death to lead the way for him. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded, "Chu Xiu, you are now a big shot who can stir up a storm in the pugilistic world. Is it interesting to scare these southern barbaric natives here?" 2 monks descended from the sky, one fat and one thin. They were so fat that they were blind. It was Xiao Mo of Sabodhi Monastery. He was as fat as Maitreya Buddha, but he was Su Jing, the seat of honor of the Great Light Temple's Karma Meditation Hall. Lin Songlong looked at Chu Xiu and said lightly, "I told you before to kill the others. Now this group of monks has really come to cause trouble." Xiao Mo had indeed received news regarding the Mahakala heavenly demon cult, but Su Jing's arrival was purely a coincidence. The Great Light Temple was the furthest from the southern barbaric land. Even if he received the news, it was basically impossible for him to come so quickly. He could come here with Su Jing because he was in Sabodhi Monastery previously. As the 2 people who studied the Tao of Karma the most in the 2 Buddhist sects, Xiao Mo had always compared himself with Su Jing. It was until the last time when he made a mistake in the process of deducing Chu Xiu and even blinded his eyes that he realized he was far inferior to Su Jing. Therefore, during this period of time, Abbot Rama went to investigate the condition of the ascetic monks of Sabodhi Monastery. The monastery was temporarily under his control, so Xiao Mo used the name of Sabodhi Monastery to invite Su Jing to discuss the Tao of Karma. At this moment, when the southern barbaric tribe people saw Su Jing, they immediately began to bow respectfully. Their attitude was extremely sincere. Chu Xiu raised his eyebrows and said, "The two of you came together. Don't talk about those useless things. The map is in my hands. Whether the two of you want to fight or join forces, I will accompany you. If you want to join forces, then let this group of brainless natives lead the way. Don't talk so much nonsense and waste time." If Rama came this time, Chu Xiu wouldn't care whether it was the Great Black Sky Demon cult or the Broad White Sky Demon cult. He would just turn around and leave. However, Chu Xiu didn't care about Xiao Mo and Su Jing. Both of them were warriors who cultivated the Tao of Karma. They were very strong in divination, but their combat power was naturally inferior to existences like Su Yun and Dong Huang Tai. Moreover, Chu Xiu still had the heaven's sun gazing at air. It wasn't that easy for them to deduce him in the midst of battle. Xiao Mo closed his eyes. Ever since he became blind, there was one good thing. No one could see any information from his eyes. Take out the map. In the end, Xiao Mo chose to join forces with Chu Xiu. The Great Black Sky Demon cult had a very special relationship with the Buddhist sections. It was said that they even came from the same orthodoxy. Of course, this was something that the Buddhist sects would never admit. However, when they heard that the ancestral land of the Great Black Sky Demon cult had appeared, the Buddhist sects basically wouldn't be absent. Some things were also very important to the Buddhist sections. At this time, Chu Xiu wasn't worried that they would play tricks. He just threw the map to Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo gave the map to the barbarian tribe leader and said, "Yin Ku, can you find this place on the map?" The barbarian tribe leader said excitedly, "I didn't expect Master to remember my name." In the tribes of the southern barbarian land, Divine Monk was only the title of Rama. As for the other monks of Subodhi Monastery, they all respectfully called him Master. Flipping through the map, the barbarian tribe leader thought for a while and said, "I roughly know how to get to this place. However, Master, there are evil gods there. In the past, an elder of my tribe went there. When he came back, he went crazy and turned into a pile of ashes." Hearing this, everyone subconsciously looked at Chu Xiu. This terrifying power of nirvanic extermination was somewhat similar to the Triple City Annihilation arrow. To be tainted by this power of nirvanic extermination, it should be the ancestral land of the Great Black Sky Demon cult. Just as everyone was about to move, the space in front of them suddenly distorted. Demonic chi scattered in all directions and a black-robed figure walked out. He chuckled and said, "Looks like I'm not too late. Everyone, how about adding me in? The sixth demon sect, Ibushuan." The black-robed man that appeared here was the sect master of the sixth demon sect, Ibushuan. Chu Xiu didn't have any ill feelings towards him. The sixth demon sect didn't belong to Yin Mo or Ming Mo, so they didn't have any enmity with Chu Xiu. But seeing him, Xiao Mo frowned, and the smile on his face disappeared. There was even a trace of killing intent. Chapter 9:14. To the Buddhists, those who walked the demonic path were all evil demons and murderers who deserved to die. But if they had to choose an existence that they hated the most, the moon-worshipping sect wouldn't be on the list, nor would the lurking devil sect. Even Chu Xiu wouldn't be on the list. The first would definitely be the sixth demon sect. The sixth demon sect's techniques were innately the bane of the Buddhists, stirring up the mental states of the Buddhists, causing inner demons to form in them, ruining their cultivation. It could be said that the Buddhists hated them to the core. They could tolerate working with Chu Xiu, but they couldn't tolerate working with the sixth demon sect. Seeing that the two of them were about to make a move, Ibushuan hurriedly said, "The two of you, if you want to enter the Great Black Heavenly Demon sect, you can't do it without me. Perhaps you don't know this, but the sixth demon sect and the Great Black Heavenly Demon sect, or more accurately, the true source of the Great Black Heavenly Demon sect's legacy, are closely related. Divine General Lin of the Elysium, you only want the things of the great black heavenly demon sect, but you definitely don't know much about the situation, right? Also, Chu Xiu, although your triple city extinguishing arrow was obtained by the sect master from the great black heavenly demon sect, the lurking devil sect shouldn't have a detailed description of this sect. Of course, it's the same for the Buddhists. Although the Buddhists have various connections with the great black heavenly demon sect, the description should also be very vague. Xiao Moha frowned. In that case, the sixth demon sect has a deep connection with the great black heavenly demon sect, and there should be detailed records of it? Yi Buxuan said calmly, to be precise, the sixth demon sect's legacy and the great black heavenly demon sect's legacy are almost the same. 500 years ago, when the great black heavenly demon sect first appeared, the sixth demon sect wanted to find a chance to investigate their background. However, Patriarch Dugu's actions were too fast, so fast that the sixth demon sect didn't even have time to react before the great black sky demon sect was annihilated. However, what I can be sure of is that our cultivation techniques are interlinked. With me around, it will be much smoother for all of you when you enter the black sky demon cult. Xiao Mo thought for a moment and said, Yin Ku, lead the way. Although Desolate Mo did not directly agree to let Yi Buxuan join them, his attitude was a tacit agreement. When the leader of the barbarians saw that he had a chance to help the guru of the Subodhi monastery, he was so excited that he could not control himself. This scene made Chu Xiu a little curious. God knows what those guys from the Subodhi monastery did in the southern barbaric land to be able to brainwash these southern barbaric natives to this extent. There were too many primitive forests in the southern barbaric land. Even a monk like Xiao Mo from the Subodhi monastery might not be able to find the direction. Only these southern barbaric natives who had lived here for a long time were familiar with it. On the way, Chu Xiu asked Yi Buxuan, Master Yi, how much do you know about the great black heavenly demon cult? Yi Buxuan frowned and said, my surname is not Yi. Forget it, you can call me whatever you want. Yi Buxuan was a little gloomy. He was not from the Central Plains, so it was very troublesome to explain these things. Chu Xiu could call him whatever he wanted. Actually, speaking of the great black heavenly demon cult, the connection should be traced back to the ancient times. It's not just the sixth demon sect. Nearly half of the forces in the pugilistic world can be traced back to the ancient times. For example, the Great Light Temple and the Subodhi Monastery were recorded in some ancient books in the ancient times. It was either the survivors of the ancient times or the descendants accidentally discovered the orthodoxy, so they rebuilt the sect. For example, the sixth demon sect was like this. My ancestors accidentally discovered a relic, so that the sixth demon sect was formed. Among the three major Taoist sects, the Celestial Master Mansion and the True Martials sect should be branches of the Taoist sects in the ancient times. As for the Chunyang Dao sect, it had nothing to do with the ancient Taoist sections. It was completely created by ancestor Lu alone. The origins of these sects, whether it was the ancient times or the present, were actually very clear. Only the great black heavenly demon cult seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Although the great black heavenly demon cult was instantly destroyed by Patriarch Dugu, think about it. The one who did it was Patriarch Dugu. With the power and influence of the Kunlun devil cult at that time, the outcome would probably be the same no matter who it was. Moreover, Patriarch Dugu even took the Triple City Annihilation Arrow from the great black heavenly demon cult. This further proves that the other party's strength is not ordinary. Ordinary martial arts are not qualified to be valued by Patriarch Dugu. Everyone, think about it. What is the biggest doubt in this? The biggest doubt is the existence of the great black heavenly demon cult itself. It should be said that the other party should not exist at all. None of the people present were stupid. Apart from the barbarian race's patriarch Yin Ku, everyone immediately understood what Yi Buxuan meant. The great black heavenly demon cult was a sect without a history. Ordinary sects, regardless of whether they were created by ancient survivors or inherited by later generations, or even if they had nothing to do with ancient inheritances, they still had an inheritance. In the end, the Mahakala heavenly demon cult suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Moreover, they were very strong. They were so strong that Dugu Weiwa had to personally take action. There were very few people in the pugilistic world who could do that. Of course, it was also possible that someone had accidentally discovered the legacy of the Great Black Heavenly Demon cult and had been hiding in the mountains and forests of the South Barbarian land to cultivate. But the problem was, how could such a strong sect hide in a place for so long without being discovered? This was completely illogical. Chu Xiu asked Lu Jianghe, who was in the Blood Soul Pearl, "Didn't you guys feel that there was something wrong with the Great Black Heavenly Demon cult?" Lu Jianghe asked, "Do you think this question is important to the cult master? No matter how strange it is just a force that can be destroyed easily. Why would he spend so much effort to study it?" Chu Xiu was stunned for a moment. That really made sense. Now that they had received news of the Great Black Heavenly Demon cult, they had joined forces to explore with their own goals. They were even nervous, but to Dugu Weiwei, this was really not a big deal. At this moment, Ku pointed to a gloomy valley in front of them and said with a terrified expression, "Exalted Master, the place you mentioned is in the valley. Many clansmen and people from other tribes have entered it when they were hunting, but none of them came out alive. Even if some of them came out alive, their souls were devoured by the evil gods and their bodies turned into ashes." Xiao Moha nodded. Looking at the aura, it should be in this place. The natives of the South Barbarian land always treated things they didn't understand as existences like gods and ghosts. There were evil gods here and there, and the Sabodhi monastery didn't care. He didn't expect that there would be such a strange place in the depths of the mountains of the South Barbarian land. At this moment, there was a commotion from the valley, and there were faint sounds of people cursing. Everyone present looked at each other and frowned. Chu Xiu and Lin Sanglong had the map, so they came fast enough. It was just that they were delayed because of the changes in the terrain. Xiao Moha and the others rushed over after receiving the news, but because they were close, they had the advantage. But how could someone run ahead of them? Ku, you go back first. After sending the barbarian patriarch away, everyone immediately walked towards the valley. However, they saw that in front of the valley, Li Jiaodi was holding a whip and scolding a few natives of the South Barbarian land into the valley. The natives of the South Barbarian land cried and shouted, and someone even shouted in choppy Central Plains Chinese, "You can't go in. That is the residence of the evil gods. If you go in, your soul will be devoured by the evil gods. If you kill us, our souls will still go to the Western Paradise, but if our souls are devoured by the evil gods, we will never be able to reincarnate." What evil gods? Nonsense. Whoever goes in and finds the scarlet fire blood lotus for me, I will make him the patriarch. Whoever dares to resist, I will make him unable to reincarnate now. Hearing this, everyone understood that Li Jiaodi appeared here not because she knew the news in advance, but because she came here to pick herbs and came to this place by chance. Among the rogue cultivators, some might be very strong, but they didn't have a big force to rely on, so they still had to rely on themselves to collect all kinds of spiritual herbs and resources. Although the climate in the South Barbarian land was harsh, there were many rare spiritual herbs because there were few people here all year round. Although Xiao Mo was blind, his perception was still able to detect everything. Sensing this scene, he couldn't help but shout angrily, "Li Jiaodi! It's fine that you came to the South Barbarian land to pick herbs, but you dare to force these innocent people to explore the way. Do you really think my Sabodhi monastery is just for show?" There were no other Jianghu forces in the entire southern barbarian land, only Sabodhi monastery. The local South Barbarian natives worshipped Sabodhi monastery, so they were naturally protected by Sabodhi monastery. But Li Jiaodi openly enslaved these South Barbarian natives here, so it was no wonder that Xiao Moha was angry. At this time, when Li Jiaodi saw Chu Xiao and the others, she was also stunned, but then she reacted, and her eyes revealed a glimmer of light. Are you looking for the ruins of the big black demon cult? Looks like it's here. The news of Chu Xiao's battle with Elysium Divine General Lin Canglong to save the Mo family had already spread. Now that they were here, Li Jiaodi could easily guess their purpose. Previously, Lin Canglong wanted to silence them, but that was simply unreliable. How could he silence tens of thousands of people? The Mo family and the Xiahou clan were not monolithic, and both of them would keep it strictly confidential. Chu Xiao had already expected that there would be a lot of people competing with them in this line of work. Now that there were only a few people, it was still within his expectations. So what if it's here? Xiao Moha frowned. Of course, count me in. Everyone who sees the treasure has a share, and this place was discovered by me. Originally, Li Jiaodi only heard about this matter, and she didn't want to get involved. The South Barbarian land was so big, where could she find people? But now these people appeared in front of her. This opportunity was given to her by God, so she had no reason to refuse. Chapter 9:15. Xiao Mo did not want Li Jiaodi to join them. Right now, there were already enough people in their group. Most importantly, there were too few Buddhists. Chu Xiao and Ibushuan were both from the Devil Dao. Lin Canglong was from the Elysium. Although he was not righteous, he was definitely evil. Now that Li Jiaodi had joined them, the Buddhists were at an absolute disadvantage. However, in a place like this, it was impossible for them to fight first. Only some short-sighted people at the bottom of the Jianghu would turn hostile before seeing any benefits. Therefore, they could only acquiesce to Li Jiaodi's participation. However, what Xiao Mo and the others did not know was that if they really dared to fight here, it was uncertain who Chu Xiao would help. Chu Xiao was a very vengeful person. In the past, Li Jiaodi had come to add insult to injury when he was in his most dire straits, denouncing him. Chu Xiao had never forgotten about that. Of course, neither Chu Xiao nor Li Jiaodi had forgotten about it. Therefore, the atmosphere was a little awkward when they met. Although Li Jiaodi was also a senior of the Yinma clan, it was good enough that Chu Xiao did not fight with her. Naturally, he would not greet her. Although she was a senior, she could not afford to offend a junior like Chu Xiao. Therefore, she could only stand there without saying anything. Ibushuan looked at the two of them thoughtfully. He seemed to have thought of something, but he did not say it. Everyone looked at each other and walked towards the deepest part of the valley. As soon as they entered the valley, they felt an extremely strong aura shrouding over their heads. The power contained in this aura was very familiar to Chu Xiao. It was destruction and nirvanic extermination. It was the same power attribute as the triple city destroying arrow. However, this power attribute was not strong. At the very least, it would not have any effect on an existence at Chu Xiao's level. However, after being shrouded by this power all year round, there was almost no vitality in the entire valley. There was not even a single green plant to be found. Some of the local barbarians had entered it, but the reason why they did not come out was probably because they had been eroded by the power of nirvanic extermination. After all, many of them had never practiced martial arts. As for those who escaped and died, because their bodies were stronger, they were not completely destroyed by the power of nirvana here. However, just like Chu Xiao's triple city annihilation arrow, the power of nirvanic extermination wouldn't disappear at all. As long as one came into contact with a little bit of it, it would expand infinitely, unless one used pure power to counteract it. Some of these barbarians of the barbaric land of the south didn't even have true energy, so of course, they couldn't block this force. It didn't take long for their bodies to be completely eroded and turned into ashes. As they continued forward, a huge stone door appeared in front of them. The stone door was completely pitch black, as if it had been made from the stones in the valley. However, it was filled with dense nirvana energy. Clearly, it had been refined using a secret technique. Moreover, there were some strange runes engraved on the stone door, or rather, some words. Anyway, no one could recognize them. Chu Xiu raised his eyebrows and said, "It's a bit rough. It seems to have been built in a hurry." As the entrance of a sect, the door had to be meticulously carved. However, the stone door in front of them seemed to be two pieces of door planks. It was very rough, which didn't conform to common sense. "Do you recognize the words on it?" Xiao Mo didn't speak. He didn't have eyes, so he could only use his perception to explore the direction of the words, so his speed was much slower than ordinary people. Su Jing frowned and said, "It's similar to some Sanskrit in ancient Buddhist scriptures, but it's more ancient and obscure. If you take one out alone, you can still understand a little, but when you put them together, they seem to be right but are actually wrong." Yi Buxuan said, "These are some incantations of the Mahakala demon cult. They mean destruction, nirvana, destruction, Mahakala, and so on. You can understand these things?" Chu Xiu said in surprise. Yi Buxuan smiled and said, "I've already said that I'll definitely be useful if I join them. The legacy of the sixth demon sect is too similar to that of the Mahakala demon cult. It's as if they're two branches of the same sect. Even the Sanskrit they use is the same. Only the sixth demon sect understands this ancient Sanskrit. However, after so many years, the sixth demon sect has translated all kinds of ancient texts into modern languages. Even within the sixth demon sect, there are only a few who can understand this ancient Sanskrit." Xiao Mo and Su Jing didn't say anything. They instinctively hated the people of the sixth demon sect. Lin Songlong directly walked over and punched out. His powerful astral chi transformed into a dragon claw that slammed into the door, wanting to blast it open. His goal was the purest. He didn't care about the origins of the Mahakala demon cult. He just wanted what was inside. Chu Xiu had experienced Lin Songlong's strength before. His fleshly body was even stronger than Chu Xiu's. However, when he slammed into the door, it only shook a little. There wasn't even a crack. That was a little terrifying. Yi Buxuan shook his head and said, "It's useless. The Sanskrit on the door is inscribed with the power of nirvana. The stronger the power, not only will it not open the door, but it will also be absorbed." As he said that, Yi Buxuan formed a Buddhist seal with his hand. Specks of Buddhist light blossomed from his hand and seeped into the Sanskrit on the door. Seeing this, Xiao Mo and Su Jing's expressions didn't look good. Yi Buxuan, a person of the demonic path, had actually used the most orthodox Buddhist power. To the Buddhist lineage, this was simply a humiliation. However, as Yi Buxuan's power seeped into it, the door actually slowly opened. In an instant, an extremely destructive aura spread out. Everyone present couldn't help but release powerful astral chi in front of them to resist it. After stepping through the door, they came face to face with a huge palace. At the front was a huge statue of a god. It was impossible to tell whether the statue was male or female. It had 4 arms and 3 eyes. Each of its arms held a trident, an axe, a staff, and a long sword. As it danced, it gave off an extremely graceful feeling. However, below the statue, there were carvings of countless cities destroyed in flames. On one side was an extremely beautiful dance, and on the other side was a destroyed city. The statue's expression was calm and peaceful, without the slightest bit of evil aura. However, the scene itself was extremely evil. Yi Buxuan said in a low voice, "This is the main god worshipped by the Mahakala heavenly demon sect. His name is Shiva, the god of destruction. When he dances, his third eye will release a world-destroying fire that will incinerate everything. In fact, the ancestors of the sixth demon sect have calculated that the sixth demon king worshipped by the sixth demon sect is one of Shiva's incarnations. Both of them come from the same source. Evil god, heresy. Xiao Mo snorted coldly. A speck of golden Buddhist light had already flown towards the statue of Shiva. There were two major Buddhist sects in the world. Whether it was the Subodhi Monastery or the Great Light Temple, their orthodoxies and legacies might be different, but their core understanding of Buddhism was similar. The Buddhist lineage worshipped countless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, but none of them were so evil. Although there were many things that could prove that the Mahakala heavenly demon sect was related to the Buddhist lineage, in Xiao Mo's opinion, this thing was definitely an evil god. Right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The speck of Buddhist light did not destroy the statue. After the statue absorbed the speck of Buddhist light, it actually began to move. Its figure danced, and in its third eye, black flames bloomed. In an instant, it had already filled the entire hall. Seeing this scene, Xiao Mo was momentarily stunned. He was actually not a rash person. If he had felt that there was something wrong with this statue, even if he hated this evil god, he would not have acted rashly. However, in his perception, this statue was only carved from ordinary stones. Just like the door outside, it was only soaked with some nirvanic energy. How could it have such a change just by absorbing his Buddhist light? And at this moment, under the illumination of the black flames, everyone could see the other things in the hall clearly. The stone walls of the entire hall were carved with reliefs. Those reliefs were scenes of Shiva's incarnations destroying the world. At this moment, under the illumination of the black flames, they seemed to have come alive and attacked everyone. No one had ever seen such evil things before. If it was an array formation, they could not even see the slightest bit of array Dao radiance, so how could they break it? Without any clues, everyone could only use their own skills to defend against these strange things. But at this moment, Chu Xiu's body throbbed. It was an extremely familiar power. One of the reliefs had content that Chu Xiu was very familiar with. It was actually the scene of Shiva piercing through the three-link city with the arrow of annihilation. Narrowing his eyes, Chu Xiu condensed the three-link city arrow in his hand. The arrow of annihilation exploded towards the relief, instantly blasting it apart. An extremely ethereal aura surged towards Chu Xiu. In an instant, illusions appeared before Chu Xiu's eyes. It was the scene of Shiva holding the magic bow and destroying the three-link city of the Asura clan. That arrow brought extreme destruction and death. The three-link city, which was said to be impenetrable, was destroyed by this arrow. That feeling was completely different from when Chu Xiu was comprehending the three-link city arrow and watching Dugu Weiwei destroy the Iron Emperor castle with one arrow. Dugu Weiwei's triple-link city-destroying arrow already possessed an aura that belonged solely to him. And now, the triple-link city-destroying arrow that Chu Xiu was looking at was the most primitive arrow, just like a legendary epic. When Chu Xiu had immersed all his mental strength in it, the charm of that arrow had been deeply imprinted in his mind. All these things happened in Chu Xiu's mind. It seemed to take a long time, but in fact, it only took a moment. Chu Xiu seemed to understand something. He subconsciously looked at the statue of Shiva, whose three eyes were still blooming with black flames. The next moment, Chu Xiu directly rushed towards the statue of Shiva. You're tuning in to the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.